Welcome here, everyone. We're excited to be underway with our quarterfinals for the Marvel Rivals side of things here with the Canadian Intercollegiate Exhibition. My name is Orbital. With me is Chris, and we will be your casters for today's matches, at least at the start here. Chris, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me today. I will be co-casting here with Orbital for today's quarterfinals.
Yeah. It'll be a good time. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves to the teams. It'll be Carleton University Esports versus Brock Esports. Brock Esports going ahead and being headed up by Otto, Young, Francois, Gino, Void, and Bellaboo. 6 of these players, of course, hoping to rock out here for the first series.
And Carl.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, gonna be good.
Doing all right.
And on the side of Carleton here, we have we have Mohammed, and we have
Viper in there.
Jake on the Viper. We got Bean.
Yeah.
We got Resonance. We got Ta Ninja, and we got Buggy here on the side of Carleton. Lots to be excited here on Carleton's roster and lineup of players as well, and we're looking forward to a exciting tournament between the two.
Yep, this will just be the start as well, which I'm very, very excited for. Chris, you were mentioning to me how much you play and how excited you are for this one. And in your opinion, when it comes down to these tournaments, what are you most excited for as we go to the pathway here to the big tree? What are you primarily most excited for when watching this tournament?
So starting off the map on Convoy and User Path, this is personally one of my favorite maps to play on as well. User provides a diverse range of different flank angles on all 3 of its convoy checkpoints as well as routes, with also at the same time very long sight lines and a couple of chokes that actually makes a wide, diverse use of the types of heroes we can see in Marvel Rivals. So often the trick with Yggdrasil's path is that the chokes usually are either at the midway point of each section or near the end, which is the case for the second section. And some of the heroes, basically this map allows for a diverse implementation and use of heroes, whether teams are looking for something more dive heavy or something that really just exerts a lot of map pressure and control through long sight lines and overall holding the fort down. I think we will see a lot of exciting back-to-back between the teams on this map and this particular start. Not to mention all the terrain destruction that will provide additional paths for each team to try to break into each other's backlines.
Oh yeah, always trying to deny and make sure that the opponent can't get moving as quick as possible. And when you take a look at this map, which one would you prefer to start on? Would you prefer to start on the offensive side or on the defensive end? Because I know some people do have preferences when it comes down to it, especially with convoy, especially with some of these kind of push style, trying to move the convoy a little bit forward. Do you prefer to start on the offensive or on the defensive end?
Me personally, I've always saw more success starting on the defensive end of User Path, but I think in a competitive and more coordinated setting here we have, an offensive setting can create great amount of damage, especially towards the defensive team, as recovering from respawns on this map is often much more difficult, I think, than some of the other ones. And there are chokes in the first checkpoint. There's lots of chokes on the first checkpoint that makes it harder for defense to break back into recapturing and reasserting the pressure they have in terms of the back-to-back that we can see on this map. So by preference, I would like defense, but I think for teams that are coordinated, they could really look to do some damage on the offensive.
All right, well, let's see if they can pull it off right now. I believe we are headed in to our first map. We got Brock Esports going up against Carlton to face off against the winner of the other side of the bracket. Before I talk any further and talk my head off, that is going to be the winners of the U of T Avengers versus the SFU Soft Serve, which is currently being played out right now. And getting into this, we go ahead, take a look at some of the bans and pre-picks and the protections that'll be led out here. I'm going to be kind of interested in see what is banned and what is picked away.
Okay, so as we can see what's being hovered on Carlton Esports here, we're looking at a team that is really desperate to hold long sight lines, and they've looked to ban out Human Torch on the side of Brock Esports, which I believe is a favorite of Young Ramen's here. So this was perhaps an intentional decision to allow basically their team to stay in positions where they want to be and deny the Torch from being able to basically take out that space with his flaming area control abilities. And on this side of Brock here, we also see a ban come through for Hulk, which seems to be Bean's favorite pick here. Hulk is someone that can enable a very strong team up this patch with Namor and Iron Man, two of some of the highest damage characters you could probably imagine if the team up goes through. So it's a wise decision to be able to ban that through, even if it is not the strong picks for Carleton University. And protections go through for Emma Frost and Psylocke here as well on the side of Brock and Carlton, looking to hold a Vanguard for Emma Frost, which is very strong in terms of her power to also do burst damage as well as assert overall pressure. And then we see another ban on Groot, a meta pick throughout this entire season ever since the Vanguard nerfs. He is probably one of the highest DPS tanks that currently exist in this meta, and just an overall menace. And then another ban here through for Brock on Loki, which will enable the ability to really actually look for dive, because one of Loki's key strengths is that by flooding the map with his clones and his invincibility pylons, he can really deny and hold space, which seemed to be Carlton's original strategy with this Loki hover here. And now protection for Storm comes through. We'll just have to see what Carlton does in response.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a comfortable stance here. A lot of the top meta bans coming out here. So I love the fact that you broke that down, Chris. Now we go ahead and see the Hella being banned out. Again, S tier all the way. Right, not banned out, going ahead and being saved up on the end. So right now, power picks in one way or another, but the last bans, as you mentioned, could be very, very interesting to watch for here. And it is going to be that Cloaking Dagger at the end of the day. Just saying no, we don't want to let that one through. It's never a good time to allow too many utility supports to come out.
That is a bit of a surprising ban to my eyes. Mo Hamid here is someone that is proficient with Hawkeye, I believe, and one of his greatest strengths is that he is able to take out a Cloak and Dagger in the middle of her ult, much like how Magneto would, without engaging with his own ultimate, which is one of its core strengths. So it is surprising to see this Cloak and Dagger ban out, but I think out of the sake of comfort and destabilizing the supports for both ends, this may be the decision they opt into in Carlton.
Well, right now we are getting into a little bit earlier of that punch. You can go ahead, as you mentioned, Muhammad, on that Hawkeye, making sure Rocket Raccoon to be out on either end. But on for Greatest, we're seeing a little bit of a test of their own, but you got to go ahead and love the Doctor Strange coming out here. Good skin to be used overall as we get underway with our first push, with our first convoy map on the aggression. It will be Brock Esports, 4 minutes on the clock to see what they can do.
And on the side of Brock Esports here, we see, and a final swap. There does not seem to be any team-up power-ups active on the side of Brock Esports. And no, they did settle for the Punisher and Raccoon team-up here. And one of the greatest strengths of this team-up is that the Raccoon can provide a team-up called Infinite Punishment, which grants the Punisher double attack speed and unlimited ammo. And on the side of Carlton here, we can see the Amber Frost team-up.
I gotta admit.
Let's see if it's gonna work though as we go ahead. Get first contact here. This is gonna be a test and hack. Carlton on their own defensive. See the Magneto trying their best to kind of keep in front end, and the first contact brings about a lot of extra damage. And keep eyes on where Brock decide to push. They're currently bottlenecking right in front here on their own defensive end. We'll see how long they can kind of hang out here for Carlton though. Make sure to keep this convoy moving. Stalled out though right there on the stairways. We're still waiting for the first true kill to really come through.
Ooh, and we see Jake here taking on the flank, putting some pressure on the back line while swapping around the rack.
Ooh, good shot. Oh, that is an amazing shot as well. That'll be Void to try and pick everyone up, but Mohammed and the rest are doing work here. And Brock Esports losing 3 and +1 if possible. Francois might not be in the greatest spot. Lord Speedwagon as well falling. Carlton with a great first engagement and first team fight win.
And we see here, quite unfortunate that Void here dies with the ult in his hands while the rest of his team falls, and Carlton capitalizes on that to take on the first point here. We see a contest from Resonance, and we see Void here return with the ult, trying to desperately cling on this particular first checkpoint choke. And remember what I talked about earlier, this point is particularly difficult to hold on the defense because there is only 2 entryways with tight corners. And we see Mohammed here in close range, practically in point blank, fighting off the enemy team here against Brock. And now it seems that Brock has successfully been able to secure some space at this final choke before the first checkpoint, going against Carlton.
Let's see if they can hang on for a little bit longer. Right now, Brock are doing an okay job here. They burned off an extra minute off the clock. Great little song being sung, but Ninja not enjoying that one as Carlton starting to lose a lot of their moxie here. They lose 2 members, make it 4 total as it's Jake and BG to have to walk away. Brock Esports, great turn here at this choke point.
Ooh. An excellent start for Carlton that unfortunately did not pan out near the end of the checkpoint here. And as we see here, both teams are looking to reset and remake that push onto the point. And on Carlton's side, we see an ult ready for both Magneto and Luna Snow. And on Brock, we see ults ready for the Raccoon here and Storm. Let's see how they're going to use this in the upcoming fight.
I mean, I think they're going to do quite well for themselves. They're going to step up right to the forefront. Brock Esports understanding that this might not be the best part, but you can go ahead and see that Storm possibly coming out here. Let's see how much you can get, but a great song being sung now. That's going to be a twist and a turn. Carlton ready to snap, and they will. Lord Speedwagon taking quite low. Brock Esports hanging on for all their worth, but down they finally fall. Carlton break through this long battle in front of the first checkpoint. After losing almost 3.5 minutes, they finally collect that first check.
It was such a shame to see here that Mohammed's ult here was not able to come through because on the side of Carlton, they had casted Luna Snow ult, denying him the ability to do any damage or pressure onto the side of Carlton, securing Carlton that first checkpoint here.
That's better.
And honestly, that's a much needed turn. Carlton lost out, I think, twice in a row, but now these picks are coming through here as Jake says hello. And you gotta love the Psy as much as possible. Whenever you get those picks, whenever you get those kind of off-centered kills, it works really well. But for Francois, it might be in a little bit more of a tango. Having to back away inside of this chokehold. Brock Esports stepping back a little bit, saying, okay, want a big team fight when we were all coordinated. And that's what we're hoping to see just as well. Psylocke splitting apart here. Good grab and toss and punch. Francois saying, no, you don't get to play this angle with me. Quick little breakthrough as the doorway will be enough. Call down from the heavens though as Brock Esports try and layer in the DPS and then some, burning through some of those HP bars. Young gonna be taken out, but so is Mohammed. DPS are abound, and it's Carlton that's getting the better of some of these engagements here as Brock Esports faltering. Void barely able to stay alive.
Francois here made an excellent play earlier. Ooh, as you see Meteor X come out against the Luna Snow during the middle of her ult. And in panic, Carlton has to respond with Rocket Raccoon, trying to desperately still hold on to the second checkpoint here. And the Doctor Strange ult comes out, getting a pick on the Raccoon here. Carlton is falling. Tan Ninja comes out with the Invisible Woman ult, trying to desperately still hold this checkpoint with the team, and they seem to be able to hold it with one down on both sides. They are able to make an attempt on this play, but it is not enough. Carlton's support on the line falls, and so does Brock. What a messy back-to-back between the two teams here at the second point choke here in Convoy on Yggdrasil.
It's becoming such a pain, but that's going to be a draw in as out comes the Storm. Jake following up behind, though. And Jake just annihilates Brock Esports. All it took was one good turn. And unfortunately, Storm is laid to rest. Carlton Esports win yet another amazing battle. And right now, they are pushing for all their worth. It's eaten up most of the 3 minutes. But they're about to crest in and get yet another only 1.1 meters. It's done. They get another 2 minutes on the board. And Carlton, right now, they're just trying to break through as much as they can. Keep battling out as Brock Esports trying to hold what they can.
Yeah, as we see here that they broke up through the second point here. Brock desperately trying to put themselves in a better position after that respawn. And the brawl between Francois and Resonance here speak volumes to the power that Emma Frost has into creating space. Her diamond form not only reduces the amount of damage she takes, but also puts her into this melee state that does lots and lots of damage.
I mean, it's so nice to have, but right now, Brock Esports are really turning with those 4 ults if they can make something happen. They already lost Betty, though, and so they're really hanging on to these 3 at the end, but they lost Lord Speed. Carlton rebuking the ultimate exchange. And Brock Esports really weren't able to take anyone down. What a great denial by Carlton as they have all 4 or 5 on top of this convoy. Francois, though, able to step to Jake, and Jake is annihilated. Muhammad, though, left free and unchecked. He's going to try and step in the middle. Out comes the Storm yet again, and this time it's used to a little bit more effective status with the number of players currently on the field, though. Muhammad able to stay alive in time. Allah, though, snapping down on one, but it's given time for Jake to come back into the mix. Here comes turn number 2. If they can find it, Carlton, they're continuing to press forward. They're continuing to get in their faces, and Jake is able to find Young Ramen yet again.
And we see here Meteor X comes out in response to Luna Snow, and that takes her down. That makes the push for Carlton to perhaps secure the 3rd point here. The picks keep coming. Brock is in disarray. They are trying to regroup, trying to get any semblance of control they can, but it is not enough. Carlton responds so perfectly to Brock's defensive here, and as we can see here, clean after clean, and Brock is desperate to hold on to this point here. Francois swapping on the Venom just so he could contest that last little point, and Muhammad with an ingenious switch on.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a catch and a half, but honestly, you kept it well, Chris. And honestly, this is Carlton making me be honest with myself. It is death and glory bound, as even Captain America can't do anything. Young tries a one last hope, but Brock Esports unfortunately lose all 3.
And at the very end of the game here, we see how powerful last-minute swaps for both teams really were. The Venom swap really contested those last couple of seconds for Brock Esports to hold that point, while on the side of Carlton, the last-minute swap to the Hela they kept safe at the beginning of the draft was able to allow them to take down that Storm at the critical minute they needed it to secure that point. An ingenious move from both teams to show that it's really not about the hero that you play, but how you use it and what correct time you're picking them to go into the offensive with.
I think for Carlton, you have to be really, really proud of what you just threw down, right? At the end of the day, you were the ones basically on life support. We have to give credit. There was a moment on that first checkpoint that you mentioned, very, very difficult to overcome, extremely difficult. And Carlton only able to do it with what? I think it was 30 seconds left on their time bank. For Brock Esports, you have to recognize that this is going to be very, very difficult for your own. We go ahead and see the Rocket Raccoons come out here. More or less, the compositions are staying the same. But Carlton, going to be very, very interested to see, as Muhammad has actually swapped off, I believe, and they're going to be running with a little bit of a difference in their own bank. I'm curious if the swap from the Hawkeye will change things up.
A swap on the Winter Soldier here. They may be looking for picks on anybody on the front line or the back line. One of Winter Soldier's greatest strengths is not only his ability to peel off backline defense, but also the ability to hook people into making astounding picks that allows him to go on the offensive here. So, like Hawkeye, he is able to go for those picks.
Well, let's see. As right now, that's a little bit of a revive, but Jake, once again, showing their prowess. Carlton Esports, Jake has been such a mainstay DPS for the team so far. Young Ramen having to wait for the respawn. That's going to be a hold number one here on this uphill charge. Brock Esports not enjoying exactly how this is throwing down.
And we see here, this choke is being masterfully held by Carlton Esports right now. Allah here on the Storm, not really finding the proper angle to engage and having to stay on ground level just in case if she were to be picked. Ooh. And we see the ult come out.
Yeah, I mean, BG is stepping up big right now, pushing the rest of Brock Esports away. That quick turn of the ult was more than enough to overwhelm, and you force the entirety of Brock Esports back to spawn.
An absolutely clean, astounding play from Carlton Esports here to push them all the way back. That ult from Boogie BG here was so far forward, they knew that they were going to secure a play right there.
Now the question is are they going to secure yet another? Brock Esports getting a turn of their own. Void has a chance, but here comes the Storm right in the middle of them all. But to Ninja saying, no, I'm going to deny you. No one falling on Carlton's side, meaning Brock Esports. Take a look at their own. Jake swings onto Allah. And that's just disaster outcomes. This is fantastic, though. And you can feel Young Ramen trying to get some space. Lord Speedwagon able to find Bean, but Bean gets a revive as well. Mohammed now going to go down on their turn. But again, with all this going down, the convoy has barely moved. Carlton have gone ahead and done what they needed to, which is keep that payload about halfway point.
And it was really a shame to see that all of Allah's efforts here with the ults have been consistently, masterfully denied by Carlton's supports here. Either it be the Rocket or the Invisible Woman continually protecting their teams from these dastardly AoE ults from Storm. Now, one could claim these to be strong denials, but credit given to Carlton for being able to defend.
Oh, but what a call out again. Bean has done this yet again, even on their attack. It has been a denial and a half, and go ahead and bring it on around again and again and again. Muhammad only allowed to do it twice, but Bean was able to step up in turn, and it's just destruction for Carlton Esports. They wash through Brock yet again. You, Chris, talked about that last little point in front of the checkpoint. Well, this is halfway, and we're down to the last minute for Brock.
Well, it's just not even a contest sometimes. I mean, the way we look at Bean here, masterfully, with discipline, taking down the Luna Snow ults again and again, and some coordination is required from Brock here to protect her during her ult. But it seems that...
Oh! Well, we finally get it, and that is an entire team wipe here. Brock Esports throw everything in the kitchen sink, I believe. That was a grand total of 4 ultimates into the mix just to break through. It took a lot of effort and it took a lot of time, but they did it.
Yeah, it was a genius here to Brock to realize that, hey, Invisible Woman cannot move. So their response to this was to ult with Storm and Moon Knight, taking over that entire circle of healing with pure damage.
Right now on a twist of its own, though, as the ultimates are big for Carlton. Resonance actually goes down, but Jake popping off here, slicing through with the side lock. 2.8 meters left, and OC will run out as Brock Esports had a great moment. But game 1 goes Carlton's way.
0, 2, 3.
I mean, that was Carlton playing on all cylinders there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a masterful display of each character's strengths. Oh. just a masterful display of each character's strengths here, especially the Magneto, denying the fate of both worlds coming out from Luna Snow alt, and as well as the back-to-back decision making on on the site of Carlton in response to Brock's moves here. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a time and a half, and we knew this map was going to be a little bit dicey. I think either way, this is where we start seeing teams kind of shift out, though, because of how our pick ban phase kind of goes. Namely, the losing team gets a choice of map type as well as map. There are no bans in between, so it leans very heavily into Brock Esports getting a chance of their own. And we have to be honest, Brock on their offensive looked a little bit weak. It just didn't seem to go as well as they would have wished, but their wombo combo potential is very, very high. They do know when to pull the trigger for the big cannon. It's, are they going to win some of the smaller skirmishes later on?
And for sure, especially on the side of Brock's, we're talking about the big cannon here. Sometimes the Storm ult itself might just not be enough for the defensive that Carlton is holding up with their ults. They have been coordinating these on time in response to the Storm and many other hazards that they might be scared or alarmed by on the side of Brock. So it was really only at the end of Brock's offensive there, when we saw a last minute swap to Moon Knight, that Carlton was put on the brink to hold point one, when there was finally enough cannons to break through Carlton's defensive. So we really like to see whether or not in the second game Brock is able to bring those bigger cannons out to completely force through Carlton's coordinated defensive in each of these games.
I think when we take a look at it, we have to dive into the specifics. I want to give a big shout out to, I believe it was Jake. Jake was popping off the entire time, right? I think we saw Jake on that Psylocke be an absolute menace. We were talking about Muhammad being really, really good with that Hawkeye, which we did see the Hawkeye bring damage, but Jake was doing an immense amount of work there. And I mean, how do you shut that down? How do you shut down a Psylocke of all things? Because I feel it's one of the more slippery heroes to deal with.
That's true. Psylocke's greatest strength in this game is that she can pick her own engagements. She has 2 dashes and an invisibility, and an absolutely dastardly ult that could sometimes just wipe entire backlines if teams are not ready to be coordinated with big cooldowns or big ults. And I think that threat, combined with the difficulty to take her down, creates this pressure for both teams to almost be on a timer sometimes. And whichever team has a stronger zone control than the other will often win out with their Psylocke making that final call.
All right, well, we'll see if they can do it once again. We go ahead and have our next map available for you. Map number 1 won by Carlton. Of course, map number 2, we're going to Spider Islands. Going to be a little bit of a treat there just as well. And personally, I'm curious because I believe that is yet another, if I'm not mistaken. We're going right back to Convoy yet again.
Yes, this would be another convoy map. And now the very unique thing about Spider Islands is that the first distance is one filled with a diverse set of verticality, platforms, bridges, and even one parts of the path is a staircase up. This convoy map, again, takes advantage of a lot of long sight lines, but it is not as open as Yggdrasil. There is still plenty of flank paths. There's a lot of destructibles as well on this map. So it will be cool to see how both teams take advantage of this. I also think this is another strong contender for a Hawkeye map or a hero that is able to take advantage of sightlines. So let us see how both teams look to strategize for this after the first game.
Yeah, I think we saw a couple of the bans come out earlier. Was that Cloaking Dagger that we saw a few times, a couple saves onto the Hela and the like, but I do agree the Hawkeye might be one to be banned out here, depending on how they wish. You go ahead and see a little bit of the Jeff action. I love that Resonance is hovering that one. Appreciate everyone going for my boy there, but again, it's eyes out on exactly who you want to pick up and who you want to ban away. First ban, though, Twist for the side of Carlton. Who do they want to ban away? It's an Understood Torch.
And Torch here has a lot of value, given that Spider Islands has tighter hallways to carry the convoy than Usadil, giving Torch much more strength to control the points here. And we see from Brock here the immediate ban for Magneto, given the amount of terror he has caused on the supports of Brock Esports last game. And then we can see a protection for Cloak and Dagger coming through in response. That now that the Magneto is wiped off, but maybe we can still see the Hawkeye come through to threaten that Cloak and Dagger's ult.
Yeah, I think Bean had a really nice time with that Magneto, but you had to protect the Psylocke. This one's understandable to me, right? It makes a lot of sense. You did very, very well with it. Shake was flying high there. I think maybe you almost look at the Storm here. I know Allah didn't exactly have the greatest time, but I think respecting how well a Storm can play is something that might or might not be on their eyes. But it is a group, so at the end of the day, this is again into that tank status that we know and love and hate, possibly, if you don't like playing against a group.
Oh yes, and Groot himself with those walls can deny lots of sightlines and give Storm someone who can fly, lots of strength. And I think Storm here will gain much more merit than she did last game, given the fact that these hallways again in Spider Islands is much tighter than the last map.
Let's see who else you go ahead and cover. As we saw, it's once again the Hulk. Nobody likes playing against it. Some people like playing it, but it's not going to be allowed here. What are you going to save at the end here? You already used one, and it is going to be a little bit of that Frost action. It's going to be or not Frost, I do apologize, but eyes out either way. Good utility being hung on to for the side of Brock Esports.
Right. And on the side of Carlton, they look to protect the Loki here, an interesting protection.
Surprising.
And what we're looking at here maybe is Carlton really maybe looking to hold down the area control. Loki's strength is that he can practically create immortality fields on a basic ability and also replicate the ults of any one of his teammates or opponents if needed be. Giving
it is.
And the Storm ban comes through with Hawkeye.
Yeah, but then you called it as well, right? You said you need to deal with a Hawkeye. You need to deal with some of these heroes that have been bound. So a double kind of unique bans to come out here, which I really do appreciate, right? When we take a look at this convoy yet again, it feels like Brock Esports have kind of figured out exactly where those big punches were coming from, mainly that Magneto at the beginning.
Oh yeah, and for sure, denying Carlton that Hawkeye would deny them ability to one-shot Cloak and Dagger out of ult, and similarly denying Storm would also deny Brock a very powerful pick that we've seen basically held throughout the entirety of last match. So on both sides here, we see a shift in comfort for both teams. We'll just have to see how this plays out for for our teams here.
We'll see if they can do so right now. It's going to be a little bit of a hold action as Carlton look to once again go for the quick sprint. Able to take pretty much the entire run with almost no issue, but for Brock Esports, it's a whole different story. Psylocke in their bank, Jake doing the exact same. Let's see if a little bit of a change comes through as Young Ramen actually comes out on the Moon Knight of all things. Kind of surprising in its own. First contact though on either end. We go ahead and get the thing out as well. Bring the pain here as Bean says he can't play Magneto. You're gonna go ahead and play the Rock instead. First damage come through though as Lord Speed goes ahead and takes one, but you answer back as BG takes a punishing blow. We're seeing a mix and match of chaos. This is 1-for-1 so far.
And we see just trades of either frontline or backline between the two. The Moon Knight pick here is powerful, and again, these tight hallways and corridors to just pump out that damage and immediately release all. He's already at 70%, as we can see here. And we just see an absolute offensive come out of Carlton, though, even if one or two people are dropping on their own sides. And it's just a masterclass from Carlton here.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing it yet again. You mentioned that quick spiral into the higher grounds for the ults, but the ults are actually in favor of Carlton. Take a look. They already get multi kills here, and Mohammed and BG are ready to go. They already have a two-piece of their own now. Won't really deny, I think, what Young Ramen is going to be throwing down here, but it'll be enough to deter until you get another one on top. But that is a very, very quick cap as point one is taken for the Carlton Esports side of things.
And Carlton here, with their composition, look to really just push the offensive as fast as they can. And offensive revolving around the Thing, Bucky, and Psylocke here really puts fast pressure that is hard to react to. As we can see here, Jake comes out with the ult.
Yeah, you gotta love the swing down as much as possible. Jake trying to bring the damage, but didn't find as much as you're waiting for. Out come the rest, though, as BG is able to do the exact same. Other ultimates are ready to go for Carlton's edge. Brock may be looking for a turn of their own, but they're holding. That's the thing in the back line, though. Great punches, and you find Young Ramen annihilates Muhammad, gets a reset. The pain, if you will, shotgun to the face. And it's just annihilation. Brock Esports wiped from the map.
Absolute genius pick from Bean here, seeing that the Moon Knight is out of position. He was able to kill him and deny the ult from Brock Esports into potentially breaking into Carlton's Invisible Woman ult. And here we just see, again, Carlton responding masterfully to the situation at hand here.
Oh. Well, Muhammad still bringing the pain here, even without the ults, but Brock Esports, they have 3 in tow. Young Ramen, though, lost theirs in the last fight, which is a little bit of a problem, so it's only 3 ults available. We're seeing Carlton be able to hang on instead, but Betty Wood is going to step up here, brings out a little song and dance. And is it going to be enough to fall on through Allah Brings of Pain with that Psylocke? But you're only able to find one. Resonance still staying alive for the time being. And you really weren't able to push that much. What you were able to do is get Carlton off that convoy. This is going to be enough even for the Resonance now falling. That's an expenditure of 2 ults with almost nothing else to show for it.
And here we also see the Magneto ban coming through, where Betty Wood was able to create all that space with her ult, with combined with the Psylocke ult, to be able to hold onto that convoy away from Carlton. Without the Magneto threat, there was just no way for Carlton to be able to stay on that point, but to back off and maybe lose a few in the process.
This is that call, though. Jake sending it with a ninja, and that allows Bean as well as Jake to really pop up. BG even opens up with an ult of their own, and no one on Brock can withstand. They lose to almost immediately. Everyone else is getting to the win. That's going to be an ult to come out of this Doctor Strange, but it only stalls for the time being. A fight back as the damage comes through, and Muhammad gets the last lap. Punch number 1, looking for the reset if they can. Lord Speedwagon can do nothing as the rest of the team falls, and it's deletion by the side of Carlton as they wait for perfect moments. Yet again, Carlton win the team fight.
It was a very good try from Lord Speed here to have picked off 2 that were outside of Ninja's ult here on the Invisible Woman, but the punish from Carlton was just too strong, especially combined with that Winter Soldier ult, just going again and again, denying them the final amounts of space they had before the second checkpoint here. And as you can see that they're making their way onto the 3rd checkpoint here, that same overarching offense is being pumped into and against Brock Esports on this side.
Let's see if they can do a little bit more. Right now, we're halfway through checkpoint 3. Jake Bobo, as well as Allah's Greatest, send 1 apiece. But the damage is much more resounding against Brock's side of the HP bars. Muhammad into Ninja send a few more down, and Carlton say no ults, no problem. We'll take you 1 by 1. Ain't no challenge as Brock Esports are on the run. And guess what? You have more than enough ults. And Jake is going to go high, looking for someone to blade out. And it is going to be a snap. And Jake goes a little bit too far for their own making. But BG was ready with the background. That Loki ready to fire. Carlton Esports putting up a huge racket in front. Resonance stepping up towards the mix. And it's enough to allow Muhammad to go crazy in the back line. Brock Esports cleanly picked apart here like their Thanksgiving dinner. And there is nothing left for their own. Carlton with another 3-0 sweep on their attack.
And even through all that, one of the most incredible parts was when I believe the Emma Frost ulted after the big fight onto the rest of Brock's backline to basically ensure that Brock could not retaliate, for them to be able to clean the rest of the team up. And Jake here, absolutely masterclass in positioning and pressure, always just staying on Brock's backline here, whether it be just tickling them for harassment or just to be threatening them with that ult at any time. And I also want to commend Bean here for masterfully using the thing's jumps here, often either using it to immediately go on the offensive to peel for a teammate or immediately retreat to the defensive. One of Thing's greatest strengths here is that he is also one of the most mobile tanks in the entire roster, with his ability to jump between his teammates.
See if they can do a little bit more here, as they're still just gonna have to wait and see at least exactly where they wish to go, because for Brock Esports, you couldn't really make it on map 1 either. The fact that you chose to go back to Convoy, I think says a lot, right? So we'll see if it works out here. They're gonna bring their own thing to the mix, but it's the thing but not the thing in the trench coat, which I do love to see. Break on through though, as the first contact is made in Carlton, racking up that ult percentage. This is a step up by Resonance though, right in front of the mix, and so Ramen goes down in the blink of an eye. I'm not sure if that's exactly what they want to do.
Oh, maybe a little bit over position from Young Ramen here, but we see on the team of Carlton here that they're just holding down the very spawn at the front door here. This is where we really get to see the strength of Loki, just sitting in the back but prompting the healing worthy of 3 Lokis on the rest of his team at this choke right here, just delivering nothing but numbers. And if his team were ever to fall low, he could just send forward a clone and drop that invincibility pylon to buy a few bit of time. Brock here comes out with their first ult.
Oh yeah, they're gonna try it for it as BG sets an ult of their own. Void is lost though, but Allah able to make some magic happen. Muhammad is actually gone, meaning the resets aren't gonna be there, and now you call for a little bit more safety. Carlton try to hang on, and they do. Resonance sweeps on through. Jake says you found one but not the other, and the entirety of the Brock offensive is annihilated.
An excellent play from Resonance here in combination with Ninja to drop that Emma Frost ult within the hidden sightlines of Invisible Woman's ult, and then absolutely mind controlling all of Brock into a team wipe.
I cannot believe this is how you play it so perfectly. Brock Esports denied their first entry, and now they lose a minute 45. In comes a little bit of a storm of their own though, as Allah tries to bring some damage, but Bean says nah, you don't get that one for free. You're brought to the Thunderdome on my own. And Brock Esports lose 2. They are staggered out here. They're pushing back to about the midway point, but they need to find some kills. They need to find some space, and they're not being allowed. As Muhammad resets 1, looks for a second, resets yet again, chasing him away. Reset number 3. Allah pushed back to the realm of the deities, because this is the realm of mortals.
And a absolutely chaotic back-to-back that was. Muhammad was wise to keep his ult until he acknowledged that both of support ults on the side of Brock was down, and immediately when he knew, he came in with his and came again, sending Brock back to spawn, even if Brock with the Mr. Fantastic tried to break through with his ult.
I mean, that's just destructive work And yet again, it feels like Carlton Esports are really showing up their strengths here. Single elimination, BO5. If they win here, it's going to be everything. Lord Speedwagon tried their best, but that's going to be an annihilation. Francois says, let me show you a little bit of chaos here. Swings onto him, breaks straight through the door, but their backline in turn is annihilated. Brock was able to break through the back, but Carlton do the exact same. Fist for one, fist for two, fist for yet another, but Bean does the exact same. The main twist is Allah was able to get back onto the map and help out. So Brock Esports, for that chaotic battle, push Carlton Esports back.
And what a risky exchange we see here from both of the things here, diving into the backline and just absolutely trying to clobber them as each side tries to say, okay, maybe I'll beat your backline before you beat mine. And it seems here with Brock, they were able to get people onto the point before the other team did.
Right now, this is that last call as Carlton yet again force Brock Esports away. There is nothing that you can do. Not even Young Ramen will save you. Allah's greatest is sent right back to the Thunderdome as that's it. It's GG Carlton up 2-0.
2, 3.
And I think on the side of Carlton here, we can see a lot of attention paid towards tracking ults and cooldowns against their opponents. The strength is what particularly allowed the Winter Soldier to basically secure those high pressure, high threat ults into clearing and absolutely wiping all of Brock here. Either it is keeping track of those support ults or keeping track of when they'll go down. Just really having the pressure of that makes it so hard for Brock to hold on to their points or hold on to their pushes whenever their support ults go down here.
It feels like Brock are kind of relegated to worrying about those ults as much as possible, but I gotta give him a big shout out. The changes that they employed seem to help out a little bit more. I want to say specifically before I talk a little bit too long, I believe Young Ramen had some really nice swaps. Originally was on some of that DPS, rolled on over into some of the tank status, and then even swapped out to the Moon Knight. It was a constant juggle of what does a team need at this point. They were always looking to try and find that extra pinch. So I really do respect them for that. Yeah. Taking a look at what they have though as well, Allah has seen a little bit of a rough time so far. I believe they came in as a sub into this as well. I believe Otto was supposed to be the one joining in. So the fact that Allah's Greatest has stepped in here in a support as a sub fashion, great on them, but it feels like we need to see a little bit more out of them. Whenever the Storm's unavailable, it seems it's a little bit lackluster.
Yeah, and we saw in the last game when Storm was banned, Young Ramen took up the mantle of Moon Knight, which I think was an excellent pick there to take advantage of those long yet tight corridors that the convoy would have to travel through. And Allah was pushed towards basically Psylocke duty to fill in for a Young Ramen who was originally on Psylocke himself. And the efficacy, and it seemed that somewhere along the line there, the efficacy of that could be debated, but an absolutely stellar effort nevertheless from both of them to basically coordinate the offense needed to push damage and destruction against Carlton in both their defense and offense.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting point because now you've gone ahead and tried to wipe out almost all the convoys, which is surprising, but I believe we have gotten info. We're going to T'Challa here. This is going to be a little bit of a mix, so maybe making their way over to a little bit of domination. This is a map type that I think all of us can kind of say has its ups and downs specifically.
Oh, I'm actually personally not a fan of the Burn and T'Challa domination maps. There are 3 different ones, and actually the 3 of them are very diverse from one another. The Stellar Spaceport is one with very open and wide long sightlines, whereas the that are clear without much obstruction with very few entryways, whereas the Imperial Institute of Science, the one with the big beam in the middle and platform, is somewhere in between, and the Warrior Falls with the waterfall and the outdoorsiness, the rocks, is a much tighter one. So each team would have to actually adapt given which map they will be on to be able to secure the point for longer than the other team here in a domination game mode.
Well, let's see if they can do so as we go ahead and head on in. We'll see the bans coming out here. I feel like we know what Carlton are gonna ban here, but for the sake of it, no, never mind. Okay, they don't need to give me that one. It's straight up Human Torch. No, we don't want to play it.
Yeah, and the Human Torch here is actually quite difficult even for a Hawkeye to take out, especially given the amount of verticality he can ascend to and the non-hit scanning nature of that hero. And we see a ban for Psylocke come out on the side of Brock Esports. I think perhaps this is maybe a response that, hey, if Storm is banned, or hey, we really don't like how Jake has been really popping off here with the Psylocke here, so they're going to take it out of the pool for both teams here and take us into a different approach towards how Game 3 will turn out here.
I mean, that is such a huge twist as well, like you mentioned, and I'm curious because I feel like you still have to ban out the Magneto. I think the Magneto is just a pain in the backside, so if you actually drop that into ban 2, I'm really wondering exactly what you choose to go for. But what do you plan to save here? You are going to save the Emma Frost, and I think Emma Frost has also been utilized very heavily. Now, what do you want to ban on the other side? You could try and ban out the Storm yet again. I think for Carlton, just recognizing that the Storm could or could not play a mainstay problem in the mix, I think that'll be understandable. Yep, there it is. You just ban away some of the more unique picks.
Yeah, and really that Magneto again from before was a bit of a menace, and I think we might actually see it on the third ban here, but no, it's actually the Loki here. They definitely had trouble breaking into Carlton's Loki, just constantly holding space for all of his team here. And so we're gonna see what they look to protect here instead, because sorry.
It's all right. We're chilling. As we go ahead and take a look, there's a Loki ban, something that we did mention before. PG played that to effectiveness, and then a quick pickup of the saving of the thing, which is surprising. I think right now you're getting down into this very nice socket. If Carlton wished, they could go ahead and save the Magneto and keep it for themselves. I'd be curious if that's going to be the main play here, though.
Oh, maybe a save on the Magneto here would absolutely do numbers on Brock Esports backline, but instead they look to save the Winter Soldier here, seeing how much just absolute threat he had on Brock the moment that their support ults were down, and just how he was able to tear through the entire composition in the flash of a moment. Absolutely gave them the inspiration to just save that Winter Soldier over, say, the Magneto.
Oh. Okay, so giving a lot of, I want to say, comfortability over there. And yeah, so this was understood. If it wasn't going to be saved, it was going to be banned out, right? Like, this is, you and I both understood this to a very fair extent. Yeah. We said they're like, no way it gets through. No way it gets through if it's not saved. All right, so let's run down this, Chris. We take a look at some of the bans, and especially when it comes to domination, it's a whole different battle zone, right? One of the things that has been left open is the group. What do we expect to see here, especially with some of the picks coming through?
I think with some of the picks we're coming through here, for example, the protection on the thing, a very flexible tank with lots of mobility. But we see here on Brock, they seem to make this swap onto Star-Lord and and Mr. Fantastic here, which is a very, very mobile front line that looks to either flank or just absolutely come at your face. What we're a little bit afraid here is whether or not Brock will be able to protect their backline when the rest of their front line is far forward, trying to create all that pressure. Now, an interesting thing here that was let through was the Hulk for being his favorite hero here. And we see a team up here additionally on Carlton Esports to pick up that Namor, to take advantage of that team up and absolutely just bulldoze the Brock perhaps in the near future here. And those squids hurt. They take up space. They make sure that you can never walk in there and just take up your backline without sacrificing your HP or letting the rest of the team to overextend to protect you. They do damage. And here at the very start here, we see we see Brock trying to take the high ground here and get on the point.
Yeah, and I like it already. You start kind of quick, and again, when it comes to domination, you want to be first on the point as much as possible, not without sacrificing your own HP values. And for Carlton, they're already 2 games in. For Brock Esports, if they lose here, they are out of the tournament. Their week is cut short. And hopefully that does not happen. You go ahead and see Betty Wood, though, getting a little bit lost in there as Francois loses their life, as the Jake Bobo and the rest of Carlton wiping away 2 more. First capture goes Carlton's way as they're already comfortably off to the races.
Yeah, and I would actually very much commend Brock Esports' efforts here. I think they actually had a really good start to that fight. It was just when they were pressured with Carlton sitting on the point there, it was actually quite hard for them to especially take those close range engagements against the Winter Soldier and Namor Squids.
I mean, they're gonna see if they can do it yet again. Look at this body blocking, though, by Carlton, almost denying all other turns here. Out comes Mr. Fantastic. He slam 1 fist, slam a second, slam a third, bring them all quite low. And this time you are able to find a pinch number 1. BG, though, keeping the few alive. He's bringing back a teammate. But honestly, Brock Esports not getting a whole lot out of that ult divestment. And Mohammed still very strong with this buck. He's saying, yo, what's up? Bring the pain a bit more. Everyone closed on in because of Groot. Bean and Ninja allowed to roam free. And the point ticks ever onwards. Brock Esports hasn't gotten a single turn here. Here comes Lord Speed, though, and Allah trying to make it work. And maybe they can fight back as there's no ultimates to challenge out on Carlton's side. Resonance is now down to Ninja barely staying alive, but Francois annihilating Muhammad. And this might be that chance, Chris. That might be their chance availability. Lord Speed takes out BG, and that means Ninja will fall as well.
Wow, masterful turn of Brock Esports here, which we can see is one of the strengths of Star-Lord here. As a hero, he himself is a bit of a flanker, but with that ult, he becomes a terrifying, unstoppable machine, capable of locking on any of your supports within sight. And we really just see that happen here as they retake the point. When that Star-Lord ult came through, they took the point by storm. And even with Carlton's absolutely destructive close-range engagements on Groot, on Winter Soldier, and on Namor, that it was just not enough to take down that Star-Lord.
I just, again, even though Brock Esports have made such a huge play at the very end here, it feels like it's all for naught. Carlton see the victory in their eyes. Namor saying hello. Bring out the horn, bring out the pain, bring out our round 1 victory. Domination goes to the one that dominates, and it feels like Carlton are the ones doing it here. Brock Esports gonna make one last ditch attempt, but Muhammad getting reset after reset after reset. Bring on 5. Where's young Ramen? The Wolverine is nowhere to be found. 5 in a row, looking for a 6. You get it. Muhammad with 6 in a row to go ahead and claim this OT.
Absolutely a clear on the point there to retake.
Not broken, by the way.
Yeah, no.
Not broken, by the way.
Yeah, not broken at all, no. And I really like to commend the swap onto Wolverine there on the side of Brock, to take out the Wolverine to hopefully play against the Hulk and Groot pick there. And what is really important about that pick was that Wolverine has the ability to perhaps separate a tank or two, whether it be the Groot or the Hulk, from the rest of his team with his feral leaps. And with those claws dealing % max health damage, he can sometimes just shred entire tank lines, which was probably the strategy that Brock was looking for to hopefully recapture the point on that overtime. But it just seemed like it wasn't really able to deliver when the support ults on the side of Brock just fizzled for Mohammed to land that broken hexakill on the end.
It was, I just, we mentioned Muhammad, right? Like, we mentioned Muhammad being an absolute wrecking ball in some situations. Jake Bobo in earlier maps had looked good, but Muhammad, even without the Hawkeye, is looking like an absolute beast, and it's only going to continue. Brock Esports had to find a way to lock them down if they can. Right now, we have Bean already with that ult, as we called, getting turned over. So this could be a huge first fight, depending on how aggressive you wish to get. High ground already covered here as Brock Esports losing a little bit of their life. And that's Bean just right into the middle, not giving an entire crap here. As you force the entirety of the squad's away, Bean wrecks Betty Wood. Down goes Young Ramen and Carlton. What? Once again, off to the races. They're making me choke with how brutal they are right now.
And we see here with Carlton Esports setting up on the roof with Namor, and then when Bean jumps in, he was able to zone off Betty Wood from the rest of Bach Esports to start that steamrolling train of picking one by one off each person, just coming apart as Brock is forced to reset here, and Carlton takes the point.
I mean, at this point, Brock have what, maybe 3 good 4 fights, maybe before this point is over. So they have to work fast. They have to work quickly. Here comes Young Ramen again with this Wolverine, bounces but misses a little bit. That allows Muhammad and Jake Bobo to just go ham in the backline. Young Ramen is already gone. Void is gone. Down goes Betty Wood, and it is Carlton once again in complete control and domination. Ain't no problem at all. Muhammad gets healed up, and Brock Esports right back to the drawing board.
And it was really commendable to see Young Ramen here trying to jump in and hopefully get either some area control or a pick for the side of Brock Esports. But it seemed that attempt was a little too desperate and basically started that entire train of picks for Brock to unfortunately fall apart on the push.
I just can't believe it. Muhammad yet again bringing this to a close, saying this time around we have the heals and we have the power. It ain't no problem for us. We don't even have to be on the point as we wash through Brock Esports and leave them to ruin.
Well, and on this map here, we can see in this big hallway right here is one of the strong chokes that Carlton can really look forward to hold here. And the Winter Soldier here is able to do 2 things. Oh, the portal comes through from the side of Brock around it.
Yeah, they're going to try their hardest, and right now they were able to get on point, but will it turn is a question? Nah, it doesn't matter. Carlton say you might have gotten behind us, but your positioning is whack. Your hairline is whack. Your bodies are whack. Your team is whack. Destruction yet again as Muhammad rocks out with another 5. And that will be the end here. A final call down from the heavens, as I don't think anyone from the side of Brock will make it back in time. And that is GG as Carlton Esports claim the quarterfinals 3-0.
Oh, and what a swift response from Carlton towards that portal that was. Bucky did not hesitate to drop that ult when the team came crashing down and absolutely denied Brock Esports any opportunity to claim some space back with the support ult from Invisible Woman or Cloak and Dagger. And unfortunately, that seemed to just have secured the game for Carlton Esports. Yeah.
Destructive.
Yeah,
there was no other words for it. No other words for it. I mean, the gameplay spoke for itself, I think, at the end of the day, right? Like, they were dominant at the end of the day.
I think there was just a lot more coordination, especially just staying together as a team and making sure that everybody was positioned correctly on the side of Carlton versus Brock. And that isn't to say that Brock wasn't positioning incorrectly, but Carlton also put a lot of effort into making these picks when they presented themselves, whether it is from a stray Winter Soldier hook or what it is maybe from a Hulk push during ult during the 3rd round here that we see. So we see that Carlton not only took advantage of their coordination and positioning, but as well as bringing an offensive where they took advantage of mispositioning Brock's enemy team here. And it's just such a shame to see that Brock wasn't able to respond in the same way when their team's composition and positioning was put into disarray through Carlton's attempts.
Well, right now we are going to get eyes on the inside of the team as Carlton have gone ahead and made their way into the semifinals, and we'll see if they think the same. We're going to get an interview with one of the players here in just a little bit, so don't go anywhere. The CIE will be right back. Welcome back, everyone, as we are set to have a little bit of an interview with one of the players of Carlton. They had an amazing game there against Brock Esports, taking them 3-0. And to dive a little bit deeper into this matchup, we have brought Ninja onto our side. Ninja, welcome here to the desk. Welcome. Number one, what are you guys eating over there? Because that was one of the most dominating 3-0s that we've seen. Two convoys and then a domination, and it felt like it could have been a walk in the park.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What we're eating is just hard work and hard practice. You know, I talk to these guys every day, and I make sure that they're taken care of and they take care of themselves, and that we play together as a unified team.
Of course. And coming into this one, I have to ask, were you expecting to go to Convoy twice? Because whenever it comes to 3 map types, I always feel like it's a little bit uncomfortable, especially with the map style that we have here. I understand there's only so many different map types, right? But to go Convoy back to back, especially with how dominant you were on that first turn, were you expecting to go to Spiders right afterwards? Or was that kind of within your realm of possibilities?
I think it was expected because I know I can speak for my team and for a lot of other teams that a convergence is a lot of struggle, especially the transition from a dom first point to the convoy push next. So a lot of teams struggle on that transition, but to say the least, we were a little surprised to go back to back, but nothing we couldn't handle.
Of course. I mean, it feels like you guys are very, very experienced. Now let's dive into the nitty gritty, because Muhammad was coming out with some amazing plays there in maps 2 and 3, but the entirety of the team seemed to make it happen, right? Some of those windows of opportunity you don't get to see often, and it's the strength of your entire squad that really brings it about. No hate to Muhammad or Jake Bobo, by the way. Map 1, I think Jake Bobo was popping off with the Psylocke. So I have to ask, do you feel like this is more momentum based? You know, is that opportunistic style, or is your entire team actively calling for some of these big shot moments where you're like, hey, we need to open up space for someone like Jake Bobo or Muhammad to really pop off in these team fights?
I would say a lot of the times we do kind of ride on the flow of momentum, but there are definitely moments where we calm to give Jake Bobo or Muhammad the opening they need to shine and to kind of push the team forward. And if you could hear what we were saying, it'd be a chaotic mess, but it works.
I mean, we saw you specifically being able to maintain a lot of those advantages. I mean, any great team is not without their supports, and there's a lot of times where you're reading a lot of the flow of the matches. Did it feel very difficult, or were you pretty much on point the entire time? Were you basically sitting there like, hey, I got everything under control, guys. Hey, we know they're coming in with a lot of the ults. We can hang on and we can rebuttal with some of these bigger fights, especially in maps 2 and 3, where it felt like when it came down to ults for the ults, you guys were always on top of it.
I think I do have to give a little bit of credit to my healing partner, Boogie. Me and him work really well together in the tandem, like a healing unit. So I wouldn't be able to solo heal, obviously. So he's helped me out a lot. But I think us working together gives us the edge that we need to kind of have the ult cycling. He builds it just as fast as I do, and then he calms the ults better than anyone else I know.
You're too modest. You are way too modest in there, because I feel like, when we talk here, you're like, yeah, I'm not the big star or anything. But I don't think I've ever seen someone be allowed to bring off back-to-back pretty much hexa kills with Muhammad there in map number 3 without the help of support. So when you saw the first go down, like, what were the comms like? Like, hey, do we already have it in the bag? And then when the second almost hexa kill came out, what were the comms like there in map number 3?
A lot of the comms were hyping up Muhammad and the rest of the team. When we just see that staggering kill feed of Muhammad getting a multi-kill, we kind of know, like, yeah, we can clean up. But he decided to do that all himself.
It's a good time overall. Ninja, Carlton have gone ahead and moved their way into the semifinals. I believe you have one more match to play here on the day. With this map win, are you expecting a little bit of a tougher time? Because I believe you guys are playing the winners between U of T, Avengers, and SFU Soft Serve. Are either of those teams kind of on your radar? Have you been watching them at all? Are you expecting a tough challenge?
Yeah, UFT Avengers has been on our radar a little bit. Our coach has pointed out that they're a strong team, but we treat any team like any other team. We need to stay focused, do our due diligence, and play like we know how we can play, and then we should be able to overcome it.
All right, awesome. Well, Ninja, thank you very much for the interview. Congratulations on
I
your
appreciate
sweeping
it. Thank
3-0
you.
victory in the quarterfinals, and we'll hopefully see you in the grand finals a little bit later.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course, with that being said, we are done for this matchup here. Of course, we will have one more match coming up here, which will be the semifinals as we head to the other side of the bracket, watching SFU Scarlet versus St. Clair Club Team, and that'll be a really fun one to watch. Chris, it's been an amazing time with you here on the desk. How are you feeling? Any final words here?
Oh yeah, it was an absolute honor to be able to cast for today's game. It was a fantastic game for sure, and I was glad to be a part of this. And thank you, everybody.
Of course. Chris, thank you so much for casting. We hope to see you next time as well. And to all tuning in, make sure to stay tuned a little bit longer, as again, we will have the semifinals up here very, very shortly. Don't go anywhere. The CIE 2025 will continue in just a bit. We are set to go for another amazing BO5 first to 3 matchup here in the Marvel Rivals matchup and the playoffs here as we're headed into the semifinal side of things. Once again, my name is Ordo. With me though is NinjX, who once again holding down the fort on the Bebo Next Level stream. Nasty work over there. We are watching the UOT Avengers and Saucer go at it. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It was quite the match, but Sean, he's getting better. He's getting better at casting. He always says he's not doing good. No, we got to give props to him. He made some amazing comments. We were talking a lot about some financial decisions over that stream, so definitely check that out. Of course, check out everything that we're sponsored by. But but focused on the match first. Yes. St. Clair's versus FSU Scarlet. FSU did lose against UFT last top 8, so if you're cheering on FSU, this might be your last chance here in this case scenario, as we're now on to the semifinals, as you said. So my first question is, what are we thinking of the compositions? We've been seeing a lot of different team compositions, but it's adaptivity play now.
Honestly, it really depends on the bands as well. We see Magneto's being run in the forefront. We saw the Thing, I think, in the previous series as well. But let's go ahead. As you mentioned, it all comes down to what compositions they run, and that is determined by the players themselves. We got St. Clair Club team coming in here with SFU Scarlet. We'll get both of those on there to play with, and honestly, I'm very excited overall. I think the main one that we've watched specifically is if Torch is not banned, it is picked. That has been obviously, the go-to S tier. It's understandable. Same in there with Groot. I think we saw Groot last time be able to lock an entire squad down thanks to a lot of the walls. So there's just a lot of stuff going on in there. It really does. I think one of the nice things about Marvel Rivals is the fact that bans are so prevalent. The bans and saves have been so instrumental in picking apart a lot of the compositions. I can't sit here and say, hey, this is a specific comp that's going to come out here, because we've seen such drastic changes, but it does feel like the Groot, like the Torch have been mainstay premier either pick or a ban to come out.
And I want to comment on the Torch. We saw it versus UFT versus FSU. First map, the Human Torch, he held off, just hid in a corner, single-handedly popped ult, denied such a crucial teleport from Doctor Strange, won the entire, just a one play from that single hero did so much of what they needed to do to just claim the map. It's going to be very instrumental. Again, as you said, the saves, though, to me, I feel like are the more important factor in this, just because it guarantees that team composition that they're going for more than the bans, because the bans have been more flex recently, getting off the compositions like Storm and Torch, getting rid of compositions like we saw Hulk and Iron Man and Torch being thrown out as well from UFT. It's going to be interesting just how they adapt, and we know St. Clair is quite the powerhouse lately, so it's Marvel Rivals. It's a new game and anything can happen, let's be honest.
That's the fun about it, and we get to see these teams front and center. So let's go ahead and take a look at the St. Clair squad. St. Clair rocking on in here with the ever so lovely Jeff, Holy Quan, Warrior, Spooky, Random, as well as Busy Bee. And of course, some of the players really like playing that one special hero. Of course, the Spider-Man. Of course, we've heard some love and hate with that hero.
Oh, he's your friendly neighborhood spider. We love him. Yeah, some people don't, though. Some people don't.
Yeah, there's some hate going around there, but of course that's the squad rocking out with St. Clair. On the side of SFU Scarlet, we got the ever so lovely Game, we got Zap, we got Bun, we got My or Mimi, depending, someone's gonna yell at me in there, and then we got Icy and Ace, a mix, of course, with the heroes that they are going to select. Interestingly enough, I'm very curious to see which one of these heroes gets locked out, right?
We saw some interesting Mr. Fantastic plays and a solo DPS plays. They were running some pretty nice composition, double Vanguard, Mr. Fantastic only, and triple strategist team composition from the last top 8 matches. He's quite the powerhouse, and basically, in technicality, if you use him right, a third Vanguard, but high DPS potential as well. He's utilized in a lot of different scenarios. As we look at the maps to discuss on how we think these players are going to go forward, we're taking a look at Spider Islands. Gonna be the first map of this best of 5 scenario. I don't know about you, but this map has such a troubling chokehold.
It does, and I feel that always just comes with the I do want to say it tends to come with the territory of any convoy. There's always going to be chokeholds. We've seen it even on Yiggs' jail. I can't say that name to save my life, honestly. But in any convoy, personally, there's always going to be chokeholds. But this one specifically, just in the opening, it feels like there are going to be some differences. We've seen chokeholds quite literally out the gates for a lot of attacking squads, and it's very difficult to get over the hump. But once you do, you have, I want to say, a decent parcel moving into that first checkpoint specifically. So we'll be very, very curious. We go ahead and hop on it. SFU Scarlet over there on the first ban phase, and St. Clair, of course, on that second in that blue.
Yeah, first one there. I mean, we had to expect it. Orbital, we had to expect it. Human Torch, gone.
Yeah,
first one there.
Listen, that's expected at this point. I'm just gonna let it go either way. Like, we're not worried. The Groot as well makes sense to me. This one, again, you just don't want to let the power picks go through. But here comes the saves, and this is where we're very excited for.
Yep, everything casual and usual gone. The walls, and this one that burns and one that gives life, they're both gone. We're gonna be looking for the first protection. If you don't know, they cannot get banned in this case scenario, which means Hella gonna be the first one for St. Clair protected. Obviously, that can give a little bit hint on their team composition or flexibility. They're gonna be protecting the Spider-Man.
All right.
I can already feel the hate in chat. I can feel the hate in chat.
Oh, yes, it is. It is going to flow ever so nicely. And on the other side, the Hella. And then Adam Warlock. Okay. So we're seeing a little bit of shift. Personally, I didn't see this before in the quarterfinals that I watched, which that quarterfinals matchup was a little different, obviously. That was between Carlton and Brock. So makes sense. But the fact that we are jumping down into those kind of identified specifics, the low key specifically as second ban, going to be very interesting.
In the UFT versus FSU, we had 3 strategists ban almost every map. There was a couple of maps where they didn't, but they're getting some pretty targeted bans, and this is what I was expecting. The Emma Frost being protected, such a heavy Vanguard utilized in most compositions nowadays. And Adam Warlock, I gotta say, like, they've been using it as that flank DPS more than a support, more than a strategist lately, just because of how formidable his kit is. And they're gonna be getting rid of the Psylocke while protecting the Captain America over the side of FSU. I want your thoughts on that, though.
Oh, I will say Psylocke is one of my OG favorites, watching a lot of the DPS kind of flow through. So I like the fact that it's banned here for SFU. You go ahead and say, hey, we're not going to worry about it too much. We just don't want to. Oh, at the end of Venom ban as well. So that has to be a target towards someone. That is very outside the realm of possibilities, I think. That is a target and a half, just saying we don't want to deal with you specifically.
The Spider-Man. They saw the Spider-Man protection. They were trying. I think they played the long game and a benefit for St. Clair. I feel like they kind of came up on top of the bans here, just because they got rid of the low key to protect the Emma Frost that they wanted to run as well. They had other options for the side of FSU. They could have protected the Venom to guarantee that team composition, but no. We're not gonna be seeing that. I have a thing to point out. The thing is online for the side of FSU, so we're gonna be seeing aggressive plays as well. Mr. Fantastic going off as well. Team compositions of that extra shield boost, both for Mr. Fantastic and the thing. But that Captain America, very survivable in every single composition.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun little treat here as we go ahead and get that run and a half as we're in the semifinals. One of these teams will be moving on to the grands. One of these teams will be in the third place matchup, and even though you get a chance at the prize, you want the big prize at the end, not that third place shenanigans. So let's go ahead and dive on in for Scarlet, going ahead and running their way out onto the map, saying hello. First shots ring out and good damage all around.
Yeah, it's already trying to find some info and some tattletale things to say to his team FSU, figuring out the team composition of St. Clair, and they're already starting on the first wall up.
Really trying to bottleneck in, and that's going to be a quick little chase, but the backline currently being accessed. Holy trying to step back, but the rest of SFU Scarlet taking a lot of damage here. They got 3 tanks in the front line, which makes sense, but I mean, that wall of beef is starting to work here as Jeff and Warrior are both going to fall. St. Clair having to kind of allow themselves out here. They don't like the fact that they got pressed so early, so Scarlet, really nice start.
Yeah, trying to stun it on. Hulk doing work to at least take some space already for the team composition. Stuns the key man himself, getting the first pick early on. Game Ninja will try to get one, but instead Busy Bee gets the third. They gets in. They're starting to fall apart now, Orbital, as they get the picks they need. Chokehold's not going to do too much here in this case, as they already have a formidable amount of space.
I mean, that was just brutal. I have no other way to put it. That was just brutal from Scarlet's side, and Buns just running on in, laying the smackdown with the rest of the team. Very, very comfortable. 5 minutes on the clock for Scarlet to go ahead and make their way to checkpoint 2, and I honestly think they may need half of that with how they've been playing. Buns dancing straight into the back line. Quick punch 1-2, trying to catch that front line out. Charges right back out for safety, but Scarlet, again, they're playing so far forward. Ace is annihilated, now just respawning in, but St. Clair not really able to get themselves into a comfortable position. They have just not had that sort of fun. Straight into the middle they go, though, as this is gonna be ONG saying hello and what's up. Game Ninja, though, on that buggy saying hello, you're not going to enjoy this. That is just slaughter for the slaughter god. St. Clair not giving any inch, any breadth of the stage.
Absolutely dominating. You got to point out that combo that they had early on, the early Luna ult from the side of FSU Scarlet. But let's take a look at this play here once again, just picking up that charge, taking space back, was able to get already to 66, dodge the Namor ult, and just dive straight in. And we're going to be going right back to live feed to do it all over again. It's a three-piece. It's absolutely detrimental, and St. Clair are hurting.
Walk out on Zap. Oh, Zaps went down. Dang it. Zaps took 3 and said that's about all I can take. But honestly, 4.46 meters now getting wound down even further. Scarlet giving no quarter. You are going to make the gateway here as Warrior is punched all the way out. You will not be given any sort of option here. As Anj says, no worries. St. Clair lose 3 in turn. Warrior will fall just as well. Scarlet are looking to just make this a blistering 3-0 to start.
And you gotta give credit to Zap being so aggressive. Look at this play style here. Just making some plays, just tagging some DPS. He has such a long range and utilizing that to a key. Very, very slow attacks that have amazing hurt boxes. Already doing major damage, and they're forced to be back here. They can't do much because the pressure's too much.
I mean, just triple frontline feels so good right now. It's only going to continue. Captain America straight in their face, allowing Zaps to throw down some damage. Bottlenecking one into the corner. Corner boxing is real here. It's just straight up melee action. And St. Clair can do nothing. Ninjax, we have 4 minutes on the clock and most likely less than 10 meters to go.
This dominant performance, they're trying to poke out the Luna Snow ult just to keep themselves alive and get target and just point touch because they're so close to taking this. But the armed and dangerous Bucky gets denied, sent to the wall as the thing is trying to chase him also clearly because they don't have an answer. The pressure's too much. Even the Captain America was trying to imitate Iron Fist by taking the people from the high ground, but Gamer Ninja still takes the lead and advantage in the kills, taking every single pressure they can, using his high utilization of how many times he can refresh that mag. Hello, getting online though.
I mean, this is just wholly throwing out what they can and what I can only call a last stand option. The problem is there is 0.23 meters left, and Scarlet are saying, you better stay on point. They did not. St. Clair are gone. With 3 minutes and 11 seconds, Scarlet off to the races.
I'm a little speechless there because it's the prime positioning from Zap on that early top ground when they just got second point, held the team all the way almost back at their spawn by using such his long range to tick, tag, and toe as much as he could, and they didn't they were just scared. They couldn't respond, they didn't have the confidence, and they just claimed as much progress they could, and the thing did the rest.
It was just solid work, because now we see a little bit of a twist in there. We go ahead and see Buns and On still holding on to the thing in Captain America, but we got a little bit of the fist coming in here. Zap saying I messed around with Mr. Fantastic, but now we're gonna mix it up and we're actually gonna change it even further. Bun's actually swapping out now, even further marks. So St. Clair are gonna be running into a very different SFU Scarlet front line.
Yeah, it's different now. They're now on the attacking side of in sort of standards, as it's gonna be quite interesting to see how they keep on going with their mentality for the side of St. Clair, because they're going to be bringing the Starlord. Starlord is still strong in this team composition. Can they utilize it with the early picks that he can? He's already taking out early ground, as you see, trying to get early damage to get this team out of this prominent chokehold. But can FSU respond back?
Honestly, it looks like Scarlet are more than willing to do so. However, their chances are getting a little bit buckled here. You can see them kind of wrapping around the corner, not willing to actually face them head on just yet. And there's a taste to that as well. Great damage come out here as Icy as well as Game not enjoying this one. And Holy with his ally says, yo, what's up? And now a kick to the back side though, as this is Iron Fist trying to do the work, but Zaps isn't able to do as much as they wish, so they will actually fall. With Busy Bee falling as well, it leads on into a very dangerous position. Buns trying to delay the smackdown as much as possible, so St. Clair eating a lot of damage back, but the push will continue at least a little bit in their bank. Bun's able to snap up yet another kill, this time on Holy, who was doing well from the high ground, but this time on the turnaround, Scarlet not enjoying what's being thrown down.
Oh, you gotta hand it to Warrior. He was on low HP, getting pocketed so much by that Luna, and the Captain America is responding late to this case scenario because they have so much progress already done. And now, stunned, Spooky is trying to do as much damage, but now they're just fending against the onslaught of St. Clair.
I don't have to be center sphere, best self.
I mean, Scarlet, they do what they need to, and you mentioned these chokeholds, you mentioned these points where it is very difficult to wrap around. For St. Clair at this point, you're hoping for those ults to come online and be able to punch your way out. Jeff turning to that Spider-Man that we watched be locked down for safety reasons by Scarlet's end, and on the other Game rocking with that Iron Man. So let's see if they're able to bring about some differences. Busy Bee stepping up to Twist, going ahead and making a little bit of music on their own. It's currently a corridor fight, and now a quick chase to the high ground. Zap's looking for an angle to play for. Spooky bringing out a little bit of extra damage, but they lose Jeff almost immediately, and that's gonna be a problem. Now a punch straight into the back line, and Spooky trying to make everyone focus on themselves. Icy though brings the ult around, and it feels like it might be enough to overwhelm, but it's an ult for ult turn, as that's the call. The eye speaks of wonders, and it only does minimal damage, so Spooky only manages to delay the fight a little bit longer. And Buns is like, yo, what's up? It doesn't matter. St. Clair, they barely able to push any further, and Scarlet are able to withstand.
Scarlet doing such a formidable job using these ults as such a K counter. Both Luna Snow ults go. Oh, but he tries to do a close maximum pulse, but it's not ready. That was too close to the ground, Iron Man. You're just gotta stick to the skies, buddy. Already trying to deal with, but their ults have been key in this defense. But now that little bit of fumble gave St. Clair the clearance to be able to push on through.
And it's a beautiful job here. Minute left on the clock, plenty to play with. And it looks like they're going to turn that corner. Of course, that's going to be the call. Zaps diving straight into the back line, though, saying, no, we have 1 meter left, and we are going to force you away. But Random actually beats out on the back end, so it's a 2-for-1 so far. St. Clair able to make the most out of this, but Zaps really keeping everyone off of this convoy. And for what it's worth, you burned about 20 seconds solo. As that's a washout. St. Clair fight back. Zaps could not hold on, so Scarlet lose their lives.
He gets away with it. That's insane. I was going to point out that somehow he's still alive in that back line, not being punished, and gets both strategists down. They still claim point, but that's still a huge stagger, more ult charge, and more points for him. He's already at 20%.
I just cannot believe that this Holy is pretty much haunted by Zaps. Zaps starting from the utility straight into that DPS factor, and I like that. Ace with the revive, though, is going to keep them up and on their feet, but Zaps turn their eyes on the Spooky as well. So this is a stagger as best he can, but Zaps lose their life as well. So St. Clair starting to juggle a little bit. In comes Spidey. Spidey's looking for that back line. If you're able to rip one away, it's great. Quick little jump, swing around the edge. Buns finds a smack on the Warrior. I remember you're about at the halfway point, so St. Clair doing an okay job. Quick little twist back though, as we're watching this convoy do differences. What a huge ult, though, coming out of Spooky, holding everyone in place. But Scarlet shuts that right on down. Game, denying game. Zaps killing them all in buns in tow. Brings 3 to Death's Door.
Good IFO and Moto, but no value guaranteed as they're just Captain America doing such a good job distracting the team, keeping them to focus on him. All they had to say is hey, Iron Fist, deal with the Strange, and he did so swiftly. All of his HP went from 100% to 0 so quick. There was no captivity on the side of St. Clair to capitalize, and look at this, playing so much as they can. Hello is online, and they have to pop on Captain America to respond because they're trying to keep the attention on him.
I mean, that attention is doing so well, though, as Holy got nothing out of that ult. It feels so bad. And Zap's now allowed with the Captain America. Fists upon fists. Just deleting Ace out of the back line. St. Clair at a little bit of a loss for words. They had 3 ults online to work with, but it's 4 on the opposite side, so it's going to be an ult for ult battle at this point.
Only 60 seconds left.
You gotta hand it. Oh, look at this. Look at that. Oh, he gets spot out. Was trying to take a sneaky approach, but the Spider-Man has too big of senses, but takes him anyways. Can't find anything to do with.
That's just destructive angles as Buns is running a little bit of that shielding. Make sure the rest of the team is in position. Game was able to find another, but Holy right back into it. Takes a sword, plunges into Zap's chest. And they're looking for more as Icy goes down. Holy turning on the spree is still alive to play with the rest of the squad. And St. Clair might have found their opportunity. They took out Busy being Icy. Now they just need Buns or at least one more game. Having to fall back here. Sniped out. Very nicely done. Spooky able to make that work. And St. Clair are pushing for their lives with just 19 seconds left. They have a long way to go, though. And it's going to move to OTC
here.
Uh-oh, here comes the eye as well. A call down, but Spooky actually tethered out. And Scarlet immediately rebuke any advances. And they take that moment to turn it around as 3 are gone. Possibly 4 as well. Jeff cannot maintain. Neither can a St. Clair.
Oh my goodness.
At the doorstep. That is destructive for some Scarlet as they force the OT and they take game number 1.
Oh, the amount of ults that was canceled in the span of 30 seconds, Orbital. I am speechless on how well SFU was able to respond onto this case scenario. Why? The moment they heard it, they had their attentions directed to the lines, to the positions, the places that they needed to be. GG's to the Captain America of that, but you had to give it up because they immediately switched their minds in an instant to the Strange, the Spider. Immediately 1-to-1-to-1, the entire team focused, dealt with the immediate threat, and had the availability that it kept the team alive because they dealt with it so swiftly to keep on holding that point in such a long defense.
It was beautiful work again from Scarlet, and we knew that both these teams were going to come in with, I would say, a little bit of a haymaker. Both teams have exceptional prowess when it comes to a lot of these games and making sure that they are able to bring their best foot forward. But honestly, without ults, it felt much more leaning into Scarlet's favor. And we got to go back to it because they were the ones that actually saved the Spider-Man. I think that's something that's very surprising. They were the ones that actually opted to save the Spider-Man, and it almost felt like a bait at the end of the day. We saw the Spidey actually come out on the opposite side for the side of St. Clair, and it yielded some results, but not enough. At the end of the day, what do you think needs to change for the side of St. Clair if they want to take this away?
I feel like their ult tracking was kind of not 100% there. SFU really did have their ult tracking on key to respond to every single case scenario. They had the immediate lunar ult response because if St. Clair did it, they had it online, it was just such immediate response. They had it on their back of their minds, so they were able to make the game winning differences viable for every fight.
Something that they got to watch for. And honestly, the ult tracking, as you mentioned, will be a very large key part. I'm very curious to see exactly which map we're going to, as there's a lot of others available, right? If we're going back to Convoy, I'd be very interested to see which map it is. There's Domination as well. So we've had a lot of people also talk about the fact that Convergence is such a interesting one, right? Teams sometimes don't exactly like the fact that they have to swap between both a Domination point as well as the Convoys. So they like to either go for one or the other. Depending on which one we do choose, though, I'll be very, very interested. I would Honestly, I'd like to go domination. I would like to see exactly what St. Clair can actually throw down with a little bit more mix in there, right? Instead of such stalwart front and back.
Yeah, we have some interesting maps for domination as well as we wait for them. We have Hell's Haven, Royal Palace, Koroka, Burning T'Challa. Burning T'Challa is very interesting too because it has such different dynamic of a map style, having the CQC on the right for first point and a big open giant circle with a hole in the middle. There's such level viabilities to each these team composition, and we know how much of a dive kind of not 100% focus. They had that Venom band as well, so they couldn't really pull it off 100%, but there was still the Captain America, the dive focus of just Iron Fist. We saw the poor Rocket getting all 4 fists just straight to the face. Beautifully done. But I'm very interested to see if they turn their team compositions into a domination map, because to me it's about survivability. You want to have your team alive, holding point, getting as much progress in multiple standards, because it's not just 1, 2, 3. It's 3 rounds. It's a best of well, 2 really.
That's a rough way to look at it, but it's true. It's 100% true. And at the end of the day, there's a little bit of momentum base behind it. We see the ult charges carry over into rounds 2 and 3 as well. So, we've seen some teams utilize that to their advantage to get an explosive start into rounds 2 and 3, take that turn. But at the end of the day, it's a small nuance, right? There's always a chance for a turn rather in the middle of the round. So if you do go domination, that'll be the call at the end of the day. I believe we're still waiting. I think we're still trying to take a check on seeing exactly who is going to be coming in here, especially if we are going to get maybe some substitutions. I believe teams are allowed 1 substitution in between each, and be able they can flex around some of their players as well, which will be interesting to see if they do opt for that as well.
A bit of a sponsor say, obviously check out BMO Next Level, check out Strawberry and Eggs, check out BMO. We have a contest going, exclamation contest. But I want to ask you a question, Orbro. We asked this in the BMO stream. Which Marvel rival heroes do you think is the best and least financially stable person? I voted Rocket for worst. Sean said Iron Man was the best because he was a millionaire, but I don't know about that because he used a lot of money.
Yeah, so here's the deal. It depends on how you actively chase that, because like the best at fiscal responsibility or being in charge of your money, really, I don't know. I feel like the people that can still come out with a lot of good silliness would be there. I'm almost looking at the Fantastic Squad as I don't feel like they would have a lot of their finances in order, because you have to hang on to 4 people. You have to take care, hate saying it, the Thing. You probably have to repair a lot of doors and stuff, and some of those bad mix-ups. So you have to allocate your funds, and you're still considered a very good superhero.
What about the Torch?
I mean, yeah, you're burning stuff left and right. Yeah. So they have to have the money for it. So I think they're pretty responsible. I think Iron Man's probably the least responsible. Man, you're buying up whatever you want to. You're sending everything out every which way. You're breaking doorways, and instead of saying, I have a budget set aside, it's like, I can do that because I'm a millionaire or a billionaire at the end of the day.
I'll pay for it.
Yeah, I know. I think Iron Man is personally the least responsible. What I will say is he knows how to make money at the end of the day.
Yeah,
albeit 100%. Some very awkward talks at the end of the day, but that's to his own. That is a question and a half, by the way. That's a good one.
It's a good one. It makes you thinking. We just got some news in here though. Looks like the map is going to be Hall of the Jala for the second map. They took the first one to SFU, took the first one 1 to 3. We're gonna be going on to a conversion game with Hall of the Jala. The Wakanda Empire there, the intergalactic one. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm not thrilled about these. I've always, the hybrid types, the convergence side of things, it always, I feel brings out the best and worst in a lot of teams. I feel teams excel at either one or the other when it comes to control, or when it comes to a convoy, or when it comes to a domination side. Specifically for me, I'm not thrilled about the control point, about the domination point to start. Specifically, I'm looking at St. Clair. They know how to bring some fights. I'm not sure they'll be able to find a good twist. Their ways around, I think SFU Scarlet had me a little bit worried, and I'm scared they won't know how to kind of expand or diversify their portfolio of attack. So I'm going to be very curious to see the opening start. If they are able to do so, though, maybe they can punch a little bit faster. Maybe they can look to get on the convoy a little bit faster. But that first domination point will be the big telling for how this is going to go down.
Yeah, and I'm really, again, really looking at those protections. I'm really looking at who they protect. It could give a hint in their team compositions. It's gonna be quite. It's always a sell. You're always trying to. You can. Let's be honest. It's a mind game. You're going to be wanting to sell what you're going to bring to the table because you can completely confuse, as they did with Spider-Man in Map 1.
It was an interesting one. They save it this time. Now another save that comes out is Adam Warlock. I believe that was banned away in game 1. I think it was banned by, I want to say Scarlet, actually. I think it was on that same side. So St. Clair this time opting to try and save it, banning out the Loki instead. So a little bit of a twist in the fates there, which I can't appreciate. Your second to last ban though for Scarlet's side. I wonder if you are gonna opt for something along the lines of the Doctor Strange, but the hella makes so much sense. By the way, huge shout out to Holy. Holy was popping off there.
Yeah, you got it. You got to give it to him. He was landing every single shot with precision, and the good thing about bans is you can just brush their shoulders off and like, yeah, not worrying about that one. Not worrying about that one.
Don't need to worry about it at all. So we'll see a little spacing out there as you mentioned the hole comes through, but you saved the you're saving the spiders again, and yeah, I don't think we saw either of these come through before.
No, but like they have the venom this time. They might go for it, as St. Clair was the one that banned the venom as the last instant. Now we're gonna be they have the Adam Warlock online. They have the Spidey and the Venom online. Could we be seeing a heavy dime composition from FSU? I'm scared. SFU.
Okay. I like that draw of the band though. St. Clair, like, man, that fist was just too dang annoying. Banning out at the very end. This leaves a lot of the frontline tanks though. You're talking about, Mr. Fantastic. You're talking about the Thing. You're still looking at Emma Frost as well as a frontliner, and then Warrior obviously hovering the Magneto. And there's a Psylocke. This was banned away last time as well. I think it was by St. Clair's side at the end of the day. So we are going to see a shake up of the front lines, but random. I like this. You go ahead and hover the Adam Warlock, which was banned away before. Let's see if it comes out as a victory this time.
Key component though. Take a look at their last protection for St. Clair, the Namor. Why? They got Venom and Spidey locked in. They're gonna be wanting some extra defense, some extra turrets to be able to see what's going on in their back lines, because they are going to be threatened, and I feel like they're going to be trying to bring as much. We know the Gamma has been working as well. They still have the ice combo with Luna Snow if needed. I feel like it's going to be instance in this case scenario. It's going to be very, very if they don't bring it out, I'll be questioning on why.
For right now, maybe they're just testing the waters. We got a Jeff here. We got Jeff. You gotta love Jeff. I love and hate Jeff at the same time, so we're gonna have a little bit of fun. Eyes out though, so Jeff Freak and Random are still waiting. There's Adam Warlock, as we mentioned before. The full lock-in is ready to go. But for Scarlet, this will be very interesting again for their own point capture. In game number 1, they were very controlling throughout most of it. This time around, let's see if they can be even more so to push themselves to a 2-0.
It was kind of a little bit of the opposite instance with the previous top 8 against UFT and SFU. They were using it basically as a backline attacker. That's Jeff, using survivability, keeping them aligned as much as they can, because they were just tagging and tagging with those ice pellets of the attack. Very strong kit from Jeff here. So it could be seeing the same case. Find some good poke damage. They have the Groot online. We know how strong these walls are. They have the Torch online though, so we can be seeing some instances because he's already low.
Yeah, this is gonna be that danger, and this might mark it as Mimi actually finds a mark number 1. Buns does the same, so both DPS are actually gone. St. Clair having to back away here. Scarlet with a great pick, number 1, and now they're gonna chase even further. Star-Lord dancing in and around, brings out that quick damage. Doesn't really drop anyone, but brings the damage even lower. A little bit of wall actually blocks their pacing, so Game Ninja is able to pick that one up. Great first attack though by Scarlet, saying, hey, we might have put you on defense, but you gotta be careful about our aggression.
And that's what I was worried about. Remember, I was talking about the aggressive backline Jeff. Jeff was just poking them with those ice pellets on the back, slowing them down on the choke, and just had the angle to deal with if needed, while the rest of his team pushed up, gained control, utilized the walls to key, and oh my godness, we're playing Fortnite.
That's one of the best parts about Groot. There's a reason why it's banned out and a lot, and also seen as an S+ tier. But there's gonna be that dance on the high ground. You already get some of your tanks and some of your members up there. It's such a good read by Scarlet, saying, hey, St. Clair are gonna go from this upper portion, but there's the dance down as the song is sung. Ace is gonna stand right in the middle, and Jeff is allowed to find game so early on, but an answer back by Icy as well as Busy B, trying to chomp up everyone to keep everyone safe, and it looks like they've done so. Another song is out as Jeff is standing in the top side, trying to keep everyone, you know, a little bit low. But there's the punch and a half as Warrior gets the face first slam, Zaps doing the exact same, but a mix is done, and SFU Scarlet lose members by the wayside as St. Clair take over the point.
You gotta hand it, just staying alive. This torch has been doing so much tick damage on tick damage on tick damage, keeping them on their toes. The supports having to heal instead of dealing with as much as they can. And even the Jeff is just targeting in the skies because he knows how much of an importance this torch is, just burning there at their feet, because he's giving consistent, accurate, and constant damage they have to deal with at all times.
And we're moving into that convoy time. This is where things get very, very messy. You can see hiding in a corner, Jeff Freak really wants to open up with a great salvo, break through this first point. And maybe they can find so flying high, checking out exactly where Busy Bee is. But on the ground, Ace was able to find Zaps early on. Down goes the Starlord, down goes one of the big DPS, which now means the tanks are very open. But Buns and Mimi are able to fire right back. Dangers abound now as St. Clair lose 3. What a snipe out of the air. Buns the leaves, the roots to work. And it's yet again this mixture, St. Clair not respecting Scarlet's aggression.
Yeah, you gotta give it up to them, because Scarlet are doing such a good job as well by utilizing this Jess as such a distraction tool. And gonna be a pause here in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Just apologies for the technical stations, but I'm going to comment once again. You gotta, if we had the POV of the Human Torch focusing on the Jeff, but he was trying to do some damage on the backline, but he had to look at the Jeff. He had to look at the Jeff. There was nothing keeping him. They kept on getting tagged on this backline. The Human Torch just had to keep on feeding the attention to Jeff, because it was either he dealt with it or assist on his team. He balanced the ideas, but at the same time, there wasn't a lot to deal with. There wasn't a lot of viabilities, because he was just giving consistent healing, consistent damage, and being a nuisance.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a problem there, and honestly, I'm sitting there going, dang, these have been such finite moments. And I was curious going back to it. You know, when we take a look at the bans and we take a look at what was going down, the fact that Human Torch was actually left open was a little bit of a surprise to me. At the end of the day, we sat there, and I don't think we respected that enough, but Jeff has been doing so well, considering, and I am very curious. So I believe we are having a few internet issues here for SFU, so they're wanting to patch those out and make sure that they're good to go, which I truly respect. You know, if we're looking at the side of Scarlet, though, Ninjax, I want to ask you, what do they do to stop this pacing? Because we're on map number 2. They can afford to give up one map. It's not the end of the world. But when it comes to the semifinals, you absolutely want to be in that top echelon. You want to go to a 2-0 moving into map 3.
You would like to be able to get that consistent play going through. As we head back into the match, we're going to be seeing it, like, just they really need to be able to consistently allow the Human Torch the viability to poke, utilize that consistent prominent damage. You see what I mean? Because otherwise he has to focus to Jeff. The Jeff is such a nuisance in the backline, so he provides that distraction for SFU to really utilize and be able to pull off these moves. And if they can't, Jeff is in a panic state and he can't help his team here.
Well, now, yeah, he's already going to go down, as that's a quick answer. Holy, from before, bringing this action with the shoddy. Big damage on reset 1 and 2. You'll unfortunately lose your own life but it was enough damage to kind of turn the tides of battle yet again. St. Clair doing what they can to kind of answer back and keep this push going.
Yeah, what I say that St. Clair needs to do is dedicate their win conditions a little bit harder. They need to make some space, keep this group, take as much as they can, get this walls in position where he can't place them as consistently, and they're gonna try to do that by dedicating their ult into the line here.
Oof. And that's a rough one. Mimi actually going down allows Holy to really jump forward, but what a twist. What a chance. Game Ninja brings the pain. Send it again and again and again. The entirety of St. Clair's rushed out of the doorway as that is Scarlet to bathe the battlefield in blood.
Oh, they were all grouped up. He had such a prominent viability to claim this, and he took it again and again and again. It's going to be ringing in their ears as they continue the match, because that was a team wipe and a half.
The Winter Soldier making it as bright as possible, and I can only assume that St. Clair only have 1 or 2 fights left. They're gonna have ultimates up in time though. This is gonna be the big turning point. They're able to kind of boost themselves into flavor, but this hunt for Jeff is gonna be huge, but they get Ace instead. Scarlet though, we're not able to find their mark. A quick devour against I think 1 or 2, but I don't think much more than that. Now the high ground battle is not going the way of this Starlord as Zaps goes down. Danger is abound, but Busy B is able to find a chance, and random fights right back. It's a 2 for 2 across the board, but St. Clair keep Jeff alive. Namely, Mimi though says Warrior not able to play, and Scarlet juggling their players exceptionally well, keeping this convoy safe.
You gotta hand it. This guy is doing some insane moves in the air. Sign him up for the Olympics, because this guy is your next long runner. We're gonna see an ult though coming online. The second one taking down the flyer in the sky, takes down the back line, and is taking care of business. He's just gonna do it all on his own. The Invisible Woman trying their best to back it off, but can't find the mark. Now it's all up to the Raccoon and the rest of the support line as he pilots another one. And they lasted out, taking that defense oh so well.
Honestly, we mentioned it. I think, you know, the Human Torch doing some work in there. Gave credit to St. Clair where it's due. But that ending, I mean, Zaps knew the entirety of Scarlet were out of ults. That last ult fight was huge, right? And Zaps allowed to go right in. No one was going to target him. Zones out Jeff early. Make sure that Human Torch is down. And you get freedom in there. Really, really well done. And then, of course, we got to give credit to Busy B. Busy B on the Jeff being a giant pain in the backside.
The teeth were sharpened.
That is rude on multiple levels.
The teeth were sharpened. He was ready, hungry for some kills. And I want to point out again, the ice pellets, that this team up with Jeff and Luna Snow has been so crucial to a lot of these compositions, because not only does it does even more damage, and for some reason it does quite a bit of damage with his shoots already, but it does even more damage, but it's slow area, a giant slow area. If you're putting that in the middle of the enemy team, they are struggling to move into certain conditions and they can't get away as swiftly.
There's going to be that little shift in there as we see a larger shift moving in here. We're going to see Doctor Strange again for Spooky. Spooky has used it quite well before. Cloak and Dagger, I believe, for Ace to come out here. But there is going to be that twist. Mimi on that Venom that we saw saved previously. Yeah. I'm excited to see what's going to be thrown down here.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I know we're all dreading the emote, but we'll get to that later. For the time being, right now we're gonna focus on his gameplay, because he's already trying to pick up information, trying to get some poke damage go. He already spawns them. Most of them is in the middle of the point. No one's on the high ground except for the Human Torch, so he dives the back line.
What a good dive into the back line. However, St. Clair says, screw your tank dive. We will take your backline die. But that was so clean. St. Clair seems to have identified that, yeah, they're going to put up a dive comp. Scarlet, though, unable to do anything. So instead of going for the dive, back right on out, Mimi goes right back to the Frost and says, let's play this like our standard if we can. And that immediately yields another frag out. Jeffrey killed right in there. And that one has to hurt. So good push in from the side of Scarlet. They're rushing their way onto point. And remember, if they can get to this domination point, it's going to be huge. But Ace finds Zaps, and Zaps Zaps is going to go down. The Star-Lord not really benefiting from a lot of these battles here. Spooky trying to hold their own, getting really well healed up, and it looks like they're going to be able to push their way back out. St. Clair weather the storm and go ahead and pop open the Eye of Agamotto, sending the rest of Scarlet straight down.
I was gonna say, I hope SFU is all keep on their alt tracking as they has been. Scenario has been so crucial as of late because he was up there consistently in the fight, whipping the whip, shooting the stars that he can, grabbing so much ult charge that they had to expect the early ult.
I mean, that's just a point of contest. Scarlet probably kicking themselves here. And now you're off a little bit of that time. You're saying, okay, maybe we're not in the right position. St. Clair falling back a little bit. They have that Hawkeye ult ready to go. They have aces as well if they need to get a little bit of extra healing in there. But you can see the eyes. What a great snipe. Good damage to rock out Scarlet's HP bar. Scarlet is doing the exact same. Here comes a burn though, as Mimi able to find Spooky. That's a great first frag, but how much more is going to occur here as everyone is bundled right up? St. Clair forced away from this point, but Jeffrick is not touched right now. They will turn on the afterburners and fly on through the crest of waves. The infernal tornadoes will burn away it all, and Scarlet can do nothing but fall.
Scarlet just dealing so much damage, as much as they could on the front lines. They had the tactician plays, they had the Groot ult, they got the back line, but he just cracked on the heat. Turned on the furnaces. It's getting a little chilly, so let's turn on the NATOs. Let's get as much damage, and they were all on point. They were trying to capture, they were doing their job well, but that just feeds into the amount of consistent wide vial the damage the Human Torch can output.
Let's see if they can do so right now. Scarlet have only a minute to touch this point and gather. St. Clair have done such wonderful work denying, but Zap's going into the high ground, looking to try and buzz down. Find snipe number one, yet again waits, and now you're trying to dive to a safety, but you get knocked out of the air. Jeff Freak was able to find you, and St. Clair making sure to find their marks in targets without that DPS though. Will the rest of Scarlet be able to pull out? Yes, they will. They go ahead and fire away at the skyline, and the eye does almost nothing. Spooky has to walk away. It will be a turn for Scarlet as they capture that domination point.
I'm sorry, what did I see Surfer eat today? Because that push to knock the Eye of Agamotto away saved their entire team. Oh my goodness. Human Torch already low here.
I'm wondering if they're going to find a little bit more. And once again, that convoy being pushed, but Jeff Freak finds Zaps. There's been a battle of the DPS in that air. Jeff Freak able to stay alive and now backs away to the rest of the team. Really well played, but the convoy is continuing to push. And remember, they don't have to go that far. They have 2.5 minutes to do so. St. Clair have to recognize that these old timers are going to be the big mainstay key. Ran them backing away, saying, okay, let's get the rest of the team good to go. Scarlet, though, racking up their own. What a dash in, though, from Holy as they dance a little bit too close. And Game Ninja is able to pop off. You say you step too close to the sun. Warrior going to try and do the same, though, as they try and turn it around. Will the damage be suffice as everyone bleeds out? But Scarlet maintain their HP advantage, and they're going to step right back to the battle at hand. Mimi stepping into the face of everyone else. The punch is real, and out comes Mimi's ult as well. That wall from the Groot denying, and Holy can do nothing. The Spooky turns it on the buns. Really good catcher as out comes the fire. Jeff Freak trying to do what they did last time, but is it going to be enough? It doesn't look like it. The push is so close. Scarlet are just one step away, but Warrior is able to make it so much harder. Same with Ace, as it's a 2 for 2, now a 3 for 2. In turn, Scarlet have to fall back.
Yeah, they're gonna have to fall back, but I would say considerable progress made. They have a minute and 15 left. They have ult online. They almost have their invisible and cloak and dagger ult online. They two good moves that a good move that St. Clair did is they used a cloak and dagger ult early because they knew that the invisible ult was going to be trying to clutch their progress, so they already have it online through the sheer team fight damage and the consistent healing that they were able to output, because now they will have both strategists ult as the Eye of Agamotto tries to go and gets a pick, a huge one at that.
And it works so well yet again. Space for Jeff Freak and Holy to just pop off. Beautifully done. Yet again, a St. Clair hold. There's only 30 seconds left though. And with Zapped having an ult online, this is going to be the big test. Can you find action as Holy is actually locked out? Mimi with a great flag #1. And Scarlet are going to try and push. Out goes Zaps, firing away inside that barrier though. It's a comfortable spot to be in. St. Clair, go ahead and bottleneck very, very comfortably, and now it's a push forward. Groot stepping in the front lines. Bun's trying to create space, and Zap's able to find Jeff. Jeff is now down. That's a huge DPS factor. Ace able to pop the ult, but is it going to be enough? He stay alive for a little bit longer, but Bun's is well on the line, and now they turn around. They are connected. Game jumps, and Game recognizes Game. Has creates that 1, 2, and 3. Do you get another? Yes, you do. You find Jeff yet again, as that's a team wipe and a half. SFU Scarlet put an absolute exclamation point at the end of this game too.
Not the wall. I was gonna say, can they touch it back? But no, the Groot puts the wall. I gotta say, Orbital, it's quite intense because I wanted to point out one key thing they did. Credits to Icy Surfy and their amazing plays, but the Groot, they did immediate crit plays. Why? Let's take a look at that last fight. Back when the Groot, he was just poking, just doing as much as he can, held his ult for so long, even though the team he had the advantage. He played so patiently to wait for that Winter Soldier to confirm, because he knew there was going planes coming back, trying to support with the spawns. They were right there at their doorstep. They could have denied anything, held that Groot ult for so long, coordinate beautifully. They just used their strategist ults to be able to go and I will live as much as they got dealt with, even with that even with the unsuccessful Star-Lord ult. I gotta say, it's the ult tracking. It's just really key here.
And I think a big reason why Game Ninja was able to pop off with the Winter Soldier was because that's what's so forced into the background, right? We talked about the Star-Lord having such good action, and that was actually why I think they won some of the earlier battles in map number 2. There was a reason why Star-Lord wasn't allowed to play this time, as Zaps was actually kept in check by Jeff in that round. We saw Jeff have an immaculate game, by the way. Very, very well done on this Human Torch. We talked about Human Torch having such strong output, especially in a lot of these chokeholds where it gets very messy. You can't see what's going on and you're just stepping on the burn, stepping inside the tornadoes. It's a problem. So in all intents and purposes, St. Clair did the right thing. They stopped Zaps from getting online. They stopped the Star-Lord from being a pain in the backside, and they allowed Jeff to play. So as much as we're giving a lot of credit over to the side of SFU, which we should 100%, they won the game, obviously. Huge step up from game number 1. I want to give that to St. Clair.
Very
massive
much so.
Step up.
You gotta hand it to, I was pointing out as well, the Invisible Girl ultimate in the coordination from the Cloak and Dagger was key. Early Cloak and Dagger ult, and they timed that beautifully because they knew they were going to go, they were in early fight. They had a whole rest of the fight timeline to go through all the abilities used because it was just right there immediately. They hit it, got it done. In the wild, they were just building and building and building as the fight go on. The Star-Lord all popped in, so they had all that much healing points to collect and fuse on their ult, and they had immediate double strategist ult online, ready for the next fight. And that was just really good planning from St. Clair.
Well, I'm excited to see what else he can do, because we're going to the pathway yet again, but not before. Teams take a very, very Ninjax is super excited, but we'll go ahead and give a little bit of time for the players to get situated. Of course, we had a pause in there for a little bit. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we'll be ready for game number 3 and possibly beyond as SFU and St. Clair continue the battle. Don't go anywhere. CIE will return in just a bit. Once again, back into the mix as we're headed to our map 3, quite possibly the finale to this series, to see who moves on into the grand finals and who goes in to that third place matchup. And listen, I know we all played maybe a little bit too much. We're going right back to the path.
Oh, I hate Jägersoul Path, man. I just don't like the map. It's such a weird map, and I'm hopefully all the teams that are playing with Scarlet and St. Clair feel the same. Because, geez, this map can go... I mean, in my opinion, because of how much it's been played and just the adaptability that you need on this map, it can kind of go both ways, which means, it's all up to the bands once again.
That's how it's always going to go down at this point. We're just never actually going to have that decent amount of fun. You know, we can never identify exactly what goes down, but what we can identify is at least Spider-Man and Venom is going to be left open. And if they're actually going to be useful is a whole different question, right? Like, we've seen them both saved, I think, at one point, and I don't think we've ever seen them on the same side of the field.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's going to be kind of interesting. So... let's just see what they pull off. I mean, to be honest, they tried the Venom, as you kind of mentioned. They tried the Venom before, and they had the safe places, but they didn't really utilize it because it got really, like, it just got taken down immediately. So we might see some long range battles here. I'm already kind of seeing their interested picks here: the Panther, the Hawkeye, the Black Widow. So I'm very curious as we go with two instant picks. The Captain America gone, knowing how viable he is in his survivability for the side of St. Clair. Side of Scarlet, Hela, and saving the Spider-Man once again.
I don't know if this is just a personal brand pick, but there is something that we kind of expected as well. Jeff Freak doing extreme amounts of work with that Human Torch, and being able to save it in the first rotation feels very, very good, especially with the Hela torn away. So the next fan to come through, I'm kind of curious what it is. I would almost assume it is, so this is the other side. I think Groot is just an understandable ban. The fact that it was let through at all last game was a surprise in and of itself.
And this, I'm not kind of surprised at as well. They were utilizing every single ability so well, especially with the Human Torch in the air. And now that they have it saved, they're going to get rid of that Invisible Woman with how much viability she gives. And for the next save, I honestly would not be surprised if they go for a common pick that they usually go here for the side. And actually, no, it's the Loki. Interesting.
I
don't know if I agree with it, though.
Well, that's fair. I can see some of the chokeholds. I think some people would really like talking about the fact that the Loki having good corner access with the clones, you're able to make it work. The main one is a Psylocke. For once in this series, we are actively going to get to see a Psylocke be played one way or another. So it's a huge save by St. Clair to bring double DPS in the foreground. Yeah,
not really targeting everything up. They will be getting rid of that Iron Fist. They know how viable it is against on just pressuring the Human Torch itself. And we know that Jeff does not want that freaky guy near him. They will be getting rid of the Emma Frost, though. We're going to finally see the lovely woman herself that everyone loves in this current side gone from this match. Which means other Vanguards come up to the plate, but we're going to be seeing a triple healer composition for the side of Scarlet.
Oh, and I'm not thrilled about seeing this, but it somewhat makes sense. One of the things that they want to try and counter against Jeff is utilizing a lot of that healing, trying to almost out-sustain through. So we'll see if it works. And at the day, it looks like they do swap as well, bringing out a little bit of a difference as we swap around. Zaps is running their patented Star-Lord at this point, as they've been on it for the last 2 games.
Yeah, can't argue with that. He's been doing well. He's going to keep it to it. And we're still going to see that tripper healer composition as they switch back from the Iron Man to the Adam Warlock. But arguably, we could say the story orbital that the Adam Warlock could be a third DPS. We know how much they've been flanking with this hero as well, trying a different play style. So I'm kind of curious if they're going to be incorporating into that as well.
Ooh, that might be the twist of its own. But right now, first contact is being made. Quick break of the towers. As we are going to see St. Clair just say, screw any of the statues. We just want to take this fight out. What a chase on the side, though, as this is a great way to deny. I love this fire focus onto Jeff. Jeff has not given a lot of distance in the air, which means Scarlet get an immediate twist. Game Ninja in the back line, though, quickly honing out. Random is able to find Zaps, though, so great first blood in their turn. Are they going to find more, though, as Holy is denied as well?
That's an early good pick for the side of Scarlet, trying to deal with much and gets frozen in midair. They're doing damage and stasis from the support side, making the difference in this match as Gamer Ninja gets a pick of their own onto the back line, trying to make a difference, but they're still holding their own. As it's a Scarlet. It's 1v1.
Dang.
Almost won.
I mean, that was brutal. That was brutal to watch, and they're only going to continue as quickly those clones are taken away from the Loki. But we talked about this choke point. Quick, good stop. St. Clair able to force 1 minute out of the timers. Busy Bee also on a little bit of a difference. The Mantis coming out to play. I wonder how well that's going to work. So far, it's doing okay, but we're reaching that point where the ults are going to start coming online shortly.
And they're gonna have their ult online, and it's a decent ult, keeps them alive. It's a good AoE, kind of like the Brigida rally as you see in the Overwatch, so it's kind of in that kind of same realm. But we're gonna find the first one, Ivan Gamoto.
Yep, and that's going to be the call down, and immediately the rest of St. Clair immediately snap up on it. Jeff Freak is able to find one, push themselves, sending 5 warriors ready to go for their own, but Zaps as well as Busy Bee answer with ults of their own. Number 1 and number 2, Buns throws a giant metal stone in the face. And St. Clair have to back away. Quick turnover as Scarlet take over this convoy. And Game Ninja with the ult to break the back line. You will sacrifice your life, but the damage has been done.
Literally taking the ninja roll too hard, going in silently and making a big loud convergence. As Jeff, if you don't notice in the other side of the screen, he is being pressured and pressured consistently by this Star-Lord, which is giving the Holy Human such a viability to just go on the back line, go on either the sideline too, providing a different off angle as much as they can, just to continuously provide DPS and keep St. Clair at bay. We might be looking at a Luna alt copy, just so they don't have Luna alt online.
Oh, well, Holy was able to turn around with an ult of their own, but the answer has been made. Icy gonna get a little bit of revive as the rest of Scarlet try and push through, but Warrior stepping up in the faces. And it seems like Surfer was able to pull off good revives, but was it enough? Scarlet able to hang on to their own. Quick burn with Busy Bee right inside of the mix. And St. Clair, they're kind of lost in the sauce here. They burned everything, and yet they're only finding 1 or 2. Human Torch up on the top side. Jeff Freak trying to throw down some extra damage. And it looks like they're doing just enough work to keep this fight going. For the battle, Scarlet had given a lot of ground here, and they're finally out challenging. But because they challenged, they put themselves out in harm's way, and they immediately lose 1 more.
Yeah, Jeff trying to find the pick, and he gets one onto Busy Bee. I was gonna point out that Jeff is just keeping consistent pressure on the backline despite being targeted by the Star-Lord himself, making sure that there is some type of viability to get the strategist forced back, keeping Scarlet on the back pedal. And if you have pressure on your backline, they're not going to get consistent healing on you. Even though they expended a lot of resources, they end up winning out that fight because they have that pressure going through.
I've seen them do a little bit more here, as right now St. Clair have hit that first checkpoint. They're rolling through the second so far, but this is where that choke point really comes through. Zapped with a great snipe yet again. Eye of Agamotto though throwing down, and Spooky gets a 3K. Immediate decimation of Scarlet's composition means that Busy Bee will fall as well. Spooky gaining so much output for their input of the ult.
You got it, and he was so silent, so sneaky. Oh, key ult, and he got the call to do it. They said, I got an opportunity, let me use it. This is going to get us most of the way there to second point. Clear viability. We can save all of our ults with just 1, and he does it perfectly.
Right now, it's another call down as Zaps is going to try and burn through a lot of HP bars, but is it going to work? Random and Holy were ready in their own twist. Holy going straight to the back line, and it looks like it's done enough. Quick call in the back, though, as Ninja is going to try and slide through. Zaps finds Jeff Freak yet again, and Ace might be on the chopping block, but they've already turned it. Well played, as this is St. Clair pushing through to the next checkpoint. It feels as in control as they're gonna get. 5 meters left. Scarlet watching their best fall here as the names continue to rally forward, and St. Clair actually stopped at the doorway. What a catch and a half. Scarlet able to turn it.
Scarlet just keeping their places alive. They have every single ult viability, and good job to Game Ninja making sure that they has every single target under lock, because they utilized that ult so late, Keely, that they just continuously dealt so much damage on the backline after expending so many resources after the Loki did his second Luna ult.
Let's see if they can hold out. Once again, there's only about 44 seconds left. St. Clair have enough to take for 1 good ulti fight, 2 total fights, and they're going to try and hang on for what they can. Zapso goes on the high ground, another ult to break out, trying to catch out one of the early targets. And Jeff Freak, though, says, I don't even care. I may be in the air, but I can find your damaged members. Busy B is already annihilated. Zaps has to run away, and they're going to try and stay as safe as possible. We swap over to Spooky as Spooky getting ready with an ult of their own, but Holy makes it a non-essential. Snaps up 2 and away. Quick revives come out as Icy is trying to keep everyone in the bank, and it looks like they've done so. A twist of fire as Jeffrey tries to burn, but the damage is too overwhelming. St. Clair, their foot quite literally in the second doorway, cannot make it through as Scarlet deny and hold them to 1 and 90%.
2, 1.
You gotta give it up to the Adam Warlock. Why? He played so far back, positioned him so well, and the moment that the ult was over, they were expecting that Psylocke ult to pop off just to clear the way, get everyone off point, because it's such a wide area, such a hard focus. They got the 3 kills anyways. What do? You back up, you play your strategist role to a key. Revives everyone, they go back and swing in, no cooldowns, all abilities online, and they just lock it down, deny everything that was used. They didn't have an answer because they used everything to claim that attempt to claim that last point.
It's one of those moments that we got to give credit where credit is due. Scarlet playing an immaculate game, and right now they are 1 step away from making it into the grand final. St. Clair really don't want it to end here. They don't want to let things fall to the wayside in this fashion. They even stopped halfway through. Yeah, it is, but I mean, nobody wants to go down 3-0 at the end of the day. Let's be honest here.
Not at all. I feel like they have such a viable way of winning in this case scenario. Why? Because Jeff has been able to use his role so well that if they just alleviate the pressure that Star-Lord has been doing, that's been his only crucifix. If they do that, they have such a good chance of winning this.
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
Well, let's see.
Look at this positioning here.
Yeah, Jeffrey again has been amazing at keeping their positioning on the high ground, but there's been a hunt for them at the end of the day. So let's see if it happens again. Right now, Icy Surfer stepping into this mix. Zaps running out on that far left on that Star-Lord once again, but the push is coming through fairly quick. Scarlet stepping into the mix, getting frozen up a little bit. Game Ninja hoping to not be taken down here, and yet they do. Holy able to do work, but that opens up space for Zaps and Buns to find multiple extra shots. Spooky annihilated as well, and that means St. Clair has to back away yet again. Scarlet with a great first tango.
Yeah, I'm really... I still am questioning the Mantis play in this case scenario, because it's not doing as much, because there's been so many other viable instances. They're losing to these high damage plays, and the Mantis hasn't been assisting as much as needed. But right now, they have the cocoon to go back at it. I don't think they're expecting it though. Oh, could they get a potential stagger here?
I mean, I think they're going to hunt for it. Jeffrey doing the exact same, recognizing that, hey, this might be the place to play for, but it might have stepped out a little bit too far. What a catch, though, as Warrior finds Zaps in the back foot, and it's all of a sudden Adam Warlock who's taken down. Scarlet lose too for pushing a little bit too far forward, and St. Clair taking massive advantage. Like Surfer getting that revive off, but Buns stepping into the mix, getting that wall down with that Magneto, but it's matched by another Magneto. Busy B popping the ult, pressing forward to get some extra damage, and maybe you can actually burn them away. I have Agamotto, though, being expended as well, but is it actually going to catch? And it doesn't look like it did. Instead, it's St. Clair that are going to lose their HP bars as Game Ninja finds that moment, now breaking out an ult of their own. And Buns being able to throw the hard-earned medal into the face of Random means Scarlet are going to take this bout one way or another.
The double KO. You needed some
the difference maker in this case scenario. Combing through, you gotta give what credit's due.
Vehicle reached a checkpoint. Keep up the momentum.
Oh,
Help, friends.
on
Well, for right now, Holy being able to step back into this mix as the first turn again. St. Clair is going to try and battle their way into the mix. SFU Scarlet, though, not able to hold the line as much as they would have liked. That's going to be a re-eye coming out. Buns is doing an okay job trying to step back into the mix. But this mix is becoming a mix-up and a mix station as St. Clair are ready to hold their own. Remember, it's just right before checkpoint 2 that we're watching. That's going to be Zaps breaking out a lot of that fire, and will it be enough? That's going to be fire number 1. Fire number 2 is a little bit questionable in its own, as that's a snipe and a half. Icy is eliminated. What a catch yet again. Ace and Holy doing so much work in there. Crazy stuff, as that is St. Clair to rock Scarlet to no end.
Get that vehicle moving again. My anger is healthy. Help, friends.
I'll patch you up.
I am healed. I will clear paths to take
Some
a treat.
assistance, please. Rise, my friend. I feel like myself again. Someone scratch my
Let's see if they can play it out yet again. Jeffrey going up into the high ground, but this time sniped out here and forced away. You fall here, it's disaster at Scarlet. Bank on in, Busy Bee popping the ult, making sure they're good, but the Eye of Agamotto slows them all down. Holy is able to make great use of that ult, taking out Game Ninja, which means the rebuttal of that Psylocke isn't going to be there. However, HP bars are still very healthy as Icy Surfer and Buns are going to fire right back. Jeff is gone, Ace is down as well. And that's the opening that Scarlet need. A single ult was able to turn it all. Buns was able to throw the rock as well. And Buns going on a rampage as St. Clair are forced away to safety.
You're halfway there. Keep going.
Wow. I mean, that's a call and a half. That is a call and a half, but right now Scarlet are just one good push away from finishing this game off. This is why it's such a fight. Ace dives into the back and misses, and that's danger because Holy is doing the exact same. How much are you actually able to get? You're getting nothing as Game Ninja does the exact same. In a twist, Scarlet are able to turn it around. What a rebuttal to come out here. And Scarlet looking comfortable in their angle. Minute and a half left. St. Clair take control of the convoy, but are they going to be in control of their lives?
trying their best as much as they can. The ult track is okay, but Jeff Freak almost has it online, which means that they're going to have to dedicate many strategist ults to keep them online. The Magneto ult tries and claims he gets the double. Oh my goodness.
Take this, Rock, and shut up is all I heard. However, the rebuttal from Scarlet is doing the exact same. They go ahead and find Jeff Freak yet again. Jeff Freak has been zeroed out the entire time as St. Clair lose way too many members. Scarlet holding on here and are pushing forward. They have 55 seconds left, which is plenty to play for. Are we going to see the end of the series right here, right now?
It's going to be a struggle from St. Clair because they only have that Cloak and Dagger ult to just leave them online, and they're trying to get a backline Magneto ult. Okay, they successfully pull it off, but will they have anything else to answer if St. Clair dishes out?
Oh, Icy locked out after using the old Zaps falls as well. Holy, it's going on an absolute rampage here in the back line. It feels like Scarlet pulled their eyes a little bit too far for an eyes on the prize, and they've lost hold of this match. They are on the cusp just the same, a few meters shy, only about 4. They have time to get back on the map. Are they going to make it in time? I don't think so, but it's all hands on deck. 5 and 4 is what we're looking at. They touch, but Scarlet zaps it so low. Portal is out here as Buns is trying to make their way through. They break on out, but Holy finds zaps yet again. And it's not going to be enough. They're dancing. They're playing with the OT. They're going to try and stall out for Zaps to come back alive. Game is able to find Holy. That's a huge lock, number 1, but they get the revive because Ace was ready for it. They're fighting to the absolute bitter end. and I don't know if it's going to be enough. OT taking down ever so slowly. Scarlet battling. Jets finds the mark on Icy. Astral able to find the revive, but Rihanna wants to put this to rest. Daps fighting it out against Holy. And Oli is now down. Have they done it? Have they found the turn? Scarlet may have battled the way out of desperation. Jeff and Spooky break the ult out, but Saps is unleashed. How much damage are actually going to break out? Very little good heals to round, and St. Clair holding the own. Busy Bee goes down. Game taken low. Buns on the annihilation table. Icy falls, and that is going to be the eye to stuff it all. Scarlet twist and turn from the absolute rank and ends. They battle their way to a team wipe against St. Clair, and they will end this series 3-0. SFU Scarlet go to the grand finals.
I can't even begin to dissect what just happened, because it was just using anything that they could. But the key term here, I feel like that could have been a difference if they holded it out for that TP. That TP was so crucial for Scarlet to get through. They were struggling to even just jump in. You saw the thing just hopping, just trying to get in, but he wasn't successful. But they consistently had. If it wasn't for that Doctor Strange teleportation, that key moment, they wouldn't have enough resources, deployment, anything to consistently back up the team. But they were just able to give until St. Clair just popped, and it was so much pressure from St. Clair that you saw the Star was running around like a spider on the grapevine. Where was he going?
Not only that, huge shout out to Zaps. Zaps fell and was given a chance at redemption. The fact that for SFU Scarlet, they actually battled for so long that Zaps was able to come back, gain I think the last like 10% of his ult charge, and then ran out and fired as hard as possible. That was chaotic to say the least. And honestly, I'm scared because I'm very interested to see what SFU Scarlet had to say. Ninjax, if you had to name one player that stood out in your mind, I feel like you already knew who it was, but if there was one player in the series overall that took it for you, who would you give an MVP status to for this series?
The MVP status, it's kind of hard because obviously like we had Zap doing so well in this case scenario, but I kind of want to bring it to the support line. Why? Because they were able to position themselves well. They Adam Warlock with the clutch res, bringing it back from the previous point to be able to just bring the entire team back from the defense and just absolutely bring everyone right back into the fight to defend and just win the battle. Key determines, key positioning, key moments. It has to be one of those support. I feel like it has to be the support line this moment. But for MVP, I don't know. It's close in my opinion.
It's too hard. I gave you a hard question. You gave me the absolute correct answer. All of the support line being able to keep everyone alive. The double revives were ridiculous to watch with the Rocket Raccoon as well. So eyes out right now. I love everything that we just watched, but we have to get a little bit of insight and a little bit of information from SFU Scarlet themselves. As we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we are going to get an interview with Hammy, I believe, who is going to be giving us a little bit of a how-to about how this team came together and how they took that victory. Don't go anywhere. The CIE. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We are excited because we get an interview. Of all things, an interview. You know it. You love it. You love interviews. I don't know. At the end of the day, though, that was an amazing victory by SFU Scarlet. They go ahead and make their way into the grand finals in 3-0 fashion over the side of St. Clair. And to give us a little bit of insight, to give us the all-encompassing viewpoint from within the 6-man team, we are going to talk to Ongazelik Maimai. I pray to God I said that correctly, or else I butchered it beyond belief. Welcome here, Maimai, to the desk. Congratulations on your thrilling 3-0 victory. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great. Our team put together a great performance. I think even though we had some struggles, we found our way through. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I kind of want to just dissect. Just the first question already was the Adam Warlock play to clutch up the defense on that last map, to just play so patiently, be on the back line, and was absolutely able to execute his ult so well. Was that planned, or was that just like a spur of the moment thing? What was kind of the mind process going through that?
I think Icy Surfer 2, he put out a wonderful Adam Warlock. In the spur of the moment, he always has that genius spark, I think.
Yeah, and that's the kind of actually goes into my second question, but so it kind of be a combo here is, how were the comms? What was the mentality? You guys had that 2-0 win, but that third map was quite brutal. A lot of people know how that map functions and goes through. So what was the mental going into that third map? What was the comms like?
I wasn't actually in the third match, so however, for the second match, we had some struggles against the Human Torch specifically, and I think we really had to slow down and just wrap our heads around how to deal with Mr. Jeff Freak. That guy is a freak on every single character he plays, I believe, and he is a demon on the match and Battlefield. We had to really bunker down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess for my last one here is, like, during that first match, going into the match, you knew St. Clair was quite the power team we were talking about earlier. What was kind of like, at least with like the team as a whole, including everyone that wasn't playing, what was kind of like your guys' mentality, your plan? Because we saw some interesting bans. We saw, like, we guys saved there wasn't you guys, but there was like the Spidey save from both teams here. They were trying to incorporate it in. You guys were teasing us a lot. So
Yeah.
what was kind of the plans going forward into this match?
Well, on our team, we love our Spider-Man, so Spider-Man is really annoying for their backline, and we know that destroys mentals sometimes, so we like to pick up on that, just go for the supports. And I think against St. Clair, we had a tough time doing that, but I think our mentality was still pretty good going into that.
All right. Well, that's awesome to hear. And again, congratulations on the victory at the end of the day. Now I get to ask you the very fun question about your upcoming matchup. We have gotten word that this is going to be SFU Scarlet going up against U of T Avengers. And I got to ask you, of course, how are you feeling about that matchup on a scale of 0 to 10? Are you thinking you're going to take it? 10 out of 10, we win all day? Or are you a little bit more shaky on it?
I don't know. UFT's a bit scary at times. I've heard that. I've heard that they've got a pretty good support backline, so there's maybe the Spider-Man will have to show up and destroy that too.
Oh, I'm gonna wait for that one. I hope to see some lovely plays. Lovely plays.
Of course. Maimai, we appreciate you joining in here. Congratulations on the victory with the rest of SFU Scarlet. Unfortunately, we didn't see you in Game 3, but your games 1 and 2, absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for the interview. And again, congratulations on your victory.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we are done for the day. Tomorrow will be even more Marvel Rivals, though, as we have the third place and the grand finals starting at same place, same time. I believe it is going to be at about 6:30 ET is when we're going to start that one. I'll have to keep eyes on the socials, though, if you want to know the exact time and place. There's going to be even more panels across the board. And, of course, Ninjax, we cannot forget our amazing sponsors throughout the entirety of the CIE.
Oh, we cannot. So make sure to check. We got a contest going, exclamation contest from BMO. You have a chance to win a 1 out of 5 $20 Steam gift cards. And of course, shout out to BMO Next Level and BMO Finance. There's a lot of student offers, a lot of things that you can grab, and you can just, it helps. We were talking with Sean Frame about the most important advice you could give, which is having a budget. They can give you even more than I can. So definitely check out their Twitch channel. Ask Sean Frame, ask anyone. When you sign up for that contest, you'll be headed to a representative as well, so you can ask any question that you want. And there's a lot of perks with those as well. You can get 6 months of Domino's Pizza or $125 gift card as well from BMO. It's really amazing. And they even have their Twitch channel Next Level that plays your favorite games while helping you with your finance. Definitely check them out. Exclamation BMO Next Level and exclamation contest. Check them out. Strawberry and Egg do amazing plushies as well to help you guys to fill your anime and cartoon fantasies as well of any kind of desires. They do amazing artwork and amazing artistical arts and crafts as well. So definitely check them out. They have an Instagram post, and they have the exclamation strawberry and egg command as well, along with shout outs to eSport Canada. You gotta give it to them. They have done amazing work. They always support everyone within the Canada sponsor as well. And Solaris, the charity show match sponsor that will be happening soon, of course. Hashtag shine bright. Check her out, their Twitter at Solaris_GG and their Discord, Solaris Discord. It's a beautiful upcoming game organization focusing on competitive Marvel rivals and driven passion to the highest level. So definitely check them out. But I feel like that's going to be everything from us, Orbital.
Yeah, it was a great time. And again, there's more action beyond. There's more panels to be seen tomorrow just as well. And again, the action continues as tomorrow will be Marvel Rivals. I believe over the weekend, we're going to even have some Valorant to showcase for you. So make sure to stay tuned to all the socials. Check out CIE_GGs across, I believe, everything. Keep up to date. And maybe in the future, we can see you joining in on some of these matches, whether in the schools or beyond. My name is Orbital. With me has been Ninjax. We want to give a big shout out to all of our production here on the day as well. Acrylic as well as Swag and all of our intermediaries on the TO side. Thank you very much for everyone tuning in. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye-bye.